me do this while you continue to get situated. So it is 6:33, Thursday, October 4th, Thursday, October 1st, 2020. This is the Littleton Planning Board meeting. Welcome, everyone. I'm just going to try to read the standard procedures that we talk about. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings due to the governor's emergency in March 19, 2020. In response to concerns related to open meeting law, the town has implemented the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to the meeting. People that join the meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. Meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute, then state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. I think that's it.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, so 6:30 board business.
Yep, the first item listed is public input. I don't see anybody at the moment with their hand raised. Yeah, and so second item is board member updates. And I do have an item for you under board business. That'll be request for a contract extension for engineering services for peer review and construction inspections for Green International. Let me know if you would like to do that now or later in the agenda.
I think we can handle it right now.
Okay, thank you. We have a current contract for services with Green International. There are peer review engineer and construction inspections for subdivisions. We're coming up to the end of that contract, both dollar-wise and time-wise. Dollar-wise, the request is to add an authorization for $25,000 additional, recalling that all of the fees, all of those costs are paid by the applicants. It would just be a amendment to the prior approvals, to the prior contract, just extending that amount from $75,000 to $100,000. And then the second request is to extend the time frame for that contract. It currently will expire end of December this year. I would ask to extend that for at least 6 months and preferably a year, just for paperwork's sake, to December 31st, 2021. Looking for your input on that, and if it's all okay, then a vote to allow me to sign that contract amendment.
We've used Green 8 or 10 years. We've had really no problems with them. Does anyone have any problem with continuing with Green?
No, my question was for Maren. She's the one who, has the the dealings with them. Is she comfortable with this?
Thank you for asking. Actually, it is my recommendation that we stick with them. I found them extremely responsive, knowledgeable, flexible. I think they do a great job for the town.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
I have no objection.
I think they've been great in all the time that we've used in the past 8 or 10 years. I found to be professional, on time, pretty much on time with everything. So I have no problem with continuing to use green. Anna, do you have any issues?
I do not have any comments. Nope.
Delisa? Great. So I'll entertain a motion to extend Green's contract for, Lauren, how long did you want? Another 8 months?
The request is to extend it to December 31st, 2021, if you're comfortable with that.
So that's 14 months.
Well, it would be a 12-month extension because it currently expires December of this
Okay,
year.
I'm fine with that. I'll entertain a motion if someone will make a motion to extend Green.
Move, we extend Green International's peer review contract through December 2021.
Anyone second?
I'll second that.
Can all those in favor, Delisa? Jerry?
Yeah, aye.
Anna?
Anna, I.
And I'm an aye. Oh, Jeff. Jeff, are you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. This is screwing me up not being able to see everybody. Anyway, I mean, I can see you, you can't see me. Anyway, all right. That's great, Maren. Anything else?
And do I presume that that extension included the $25,000 increase in the maximum contract amount?
Yeah, I would assume that. Anyone have any issue with that?
No.
Well, what's it? Why are we giving them 25?
Because we run out before they're done, usually.
Right, the contract limit is just a way to keep track of the amount of work that they're doing on the town's behalf. With the first part of the review for Amazon, then they've already bumped up on the current maximum limit.
It's not our money, it's just to put a ceiling on how much we can charge them for the consultants. So all the opponents pay for the consultants, but we just have a number in there for budgeting purposes.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, you good with that, Maren?
Thank you. Yeah.
Right, so bills and payroll, do we have anything outstanding along those lines?
No,
Okay,
not at the moment. And then we had the draft minutes from September 10.
oh yeah, I missed that one. When we get a chance to look at them, probably Anna.
Yes, I did. I have a couple of quick comments. So on page 1, when under the paragraph related to the discussion about goals, I do have some changes because it says the word work with Two Hill, Joe Layden, and Nina to finalize Two Hills goals. It was actually to finalize the performance objectives based on the goals approved by the planning board. So I think that needs to be changed. And at the end of that paragraph, it also says to confirm the proposed goals. It's actually to confirm the proposed performance objectives because we already approved goals on July 9th as a board. And then on page 5, under G7, it's really very vague there where our discussion about the draft decision occurs. And because we were speaking directly about the decision and all of the points, it seemed like there was quite a bit of content that wasn't in there. So I'm wondering if Lucia could please go back through there and identify the specific points that we were discussing from the decision, just so that it's documented.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So do you want to hold off on these until we have a chance to look at that?
Yeah, that's what I would recommend where
Okay.
changes like that. Yep.
Okay. All right, so we've done with bill and pay. All right, town meeting preparation. Town meeting is the 19th, is that right?
Saturday, October 17th.
17th, that was close.
Yep. With a backup rain date of Sunday, October 18th.
Okay.
Is it on Alumni Field again?
Correct.
Okay.
So our issues are going to be the G5, our bylaw for G5, and approval of the streets, but we're going to do that before town meeting, so we won't have to speak on town meeting about those, right?
Correct.
Hopefully.
Yeah, the street acceptances and then the, turning over the, the open space parcels for Durkee and for K.
Okay, but we won't need, well, I don't know,
Okay,
we'll have to-
that's-
probably not, yeah. But the only other thing is the, our part of the G5. The water department will have theirs and we'll have ours for everything that's not theirs.
Correct.
So that's about it for us for town meeting, right?
Yeah, and we've got the public hearing for 5G starting very shortly, and the board discussion and recommendations on street acceptances later this evening.
Correct. Okay, so we're good. So we're 6:45. Can we start? Up on my agenda. What the hell? Did I lose my agenda?
Yeah, we can start with the reading of the public hearing notice.
Okay.
Jeff, do you mind if I read that?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Public hearing, zoning bylaw amendment and general bylaw. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 1 at 6:45 p.m. to consider a zoning bylaw amendment as described below, sponsored by the Planning Board according to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 5. Wireless telecommunication towers and facilities amendment. This proposed zoning bylaw amendment would modify Article 26, the wireless telecommunications tower and facilities section of the zoning bylaw, by adding a definition of and regulations for small wireless facility, also known as 5G. The full text of the proposed bylaw amendment is on file at the town clerk and planning board offices and can be viewed during their office hours or online at littletonma.org. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed zoning amendment should appear at the time and place designated or provide written comment by September 30 if possible. Access to town offices is currently limited due to the declared state of emergency. In-person attendance at meetings is therefore restricted due to COVID-19, and the date of full reopening of the town offices is not presently clear. Based on the foregoing, the public hearing will be held in room 103 of the Shattuck Street town offices. If the town offices have fully reopened prior to October 1 and otherwise will be held remotely via Zoom video conference, with details to be made available on the planning board agenda when posted a minimum of 48 hours prior to the meeting. In either event, the public hearing can be viewed live on LCTV or online at littleton.bod.castus.tv/VOD. Please feel free to call the planning board office at 978-540-2425 or email m2hill@littletonma.org with any questions. Jeff Yates, clerk.
Thank you. Okay, so this is our part of the bylaw. And this one is just to pick up everything that's not going to be in the right of way or on the poles for the Littleton Light and Water Department, correct?
That's correct.
Does the board have any questions about it? No, it's pretty straightforward. These are the small little antennas, and we're probably, with the areas we're talking about, maybe something like the Point, which is private, maybe Donlands, which is private, places that don't have municipal telephone poles on it that want to still add more 5G to it. So this is just a regulation to address those because they won't be able to go to the Light and Water Department for the approval. Right? Pretty much it.
Yeah, given how zoning works and the limits of trying to extend zoning into the street right-of-ways, any 5G facilities, small cell facilities that are proposed in a road right-of-way will become, the permit process will be through the select board. Thought is that they will delegate that to the building department for a simple application that will look very much like the application for the Light and Water Department.
Okay.
And then the any additional facilities application would go to the planning board.
You mean if it's an extension of it or tying to the bigger ones or something like that?
Yeah, any small wireless facility that's located outside of a right of way.
Okay. All right. Anna, do you have a question? Sure, you have your hand up. I see that.
Yes, thank you. Can I get an example of when this type of technology application would come to us? I mean, I understand the right-of-way piece of it, but give me an example of when it would potentially come to us.
So if you want to put paddles on buildings on the point, or you want to put paddles on the side of Donald Supermarket, and it's for non right of way covered by the town.
Okay,
So it's private property, all private.
private development then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Got it. And so in terms of just understanding what the actual technology piece of it is, I know that there were photos like on page 13 or 38 of the guidelines, but what part of it is the actual new piece?
It's the mounting of the apparatus and any supporting infrastructure that goes along with it. So in other words, what they're trying to avoid having a building turn into like a porcupine. So it'll be aesthetic. If you Google 5G paddles and aesthetics, like there's hundreds of pictures of what the implementation will look like. So if you walk by a building in Boston, unless you really look hard, you probably won't even know they're there. The idea is that because you have to have, so like a cell phone tower today, you could have 5 carriers on one tower and you'll never notice it. But you could have, the difference there is it's broadcast radius, like a regular radio tower, but with a 5G, it's line of sight, like almost like a laser beam. So it has to be very close. So as they build out their infrastructure, they're going to find holes all over the place. So they're going to need to basically contract with private landowners to fill in those gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't broadcast a 5G signal very far. So it's more of a, like, how do you get 5G into the point if the moment you get off the road, 5G is gone and your phone's going to fall back to 4G. So it just won't work. So that they'll do it that way. But,
Okay.
and that if you look at, like, there's plenty of reference implementations around, like, I think New York, California, I think they're pretty successful where they have a high density of paddles, but you can't really see them if it's done right.
Okay. So thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that input. For example, is this something that we'll be doing any kind of, what's the word? So, Mr. Chair, are you planning to do any kind of presentation on this, or are we just going to be going for a vote and answer questions?
Town meeting, just a minimal, the Light and Water is going to do the bulk of it. We'll just tax it on top of theirs as far as, ours is just going to pick up where theirs leaves off in the private sector. That's pretty much all it's going to really be.
Okay.
And we're not going to really have a lot, as Mom pointed out earlier, we're not going to have a lot of say in it. They just need to go to the building department and get a permit for it.
Right. But in the cases when we do have a special permit coming before us, then I had another follow-up question. So would we be following the existing special bylaw for this, or and the new guidelines? So would be both?
I don't think it's going to follow the existing bylaw. I think it's going to be more of the new stuff because it's different technology. It's a lot smaller. It's a single little antenna. We're not going to talk about co-location there because that's not going to work. That's why it's not really even going to be our purview. That's why the water department is taking care of the light department, and all you need to do to get a permit for it was before you used to have to come to us for a special permit. You can go to the building department and just pay, I forget what it's going to be. Is it $50 or something, or $20? And you get your permit. We're just going to handle the larger issues where there's multiple, or they're gonna have to tie into the cell towers and stuff like that. We're gonna handle the bigger stuff. I guess is a better way to put it.
Yep, no, that makes sense. I was just wondering if we were going to be just using the two amendments to the bylaw that we're adding in, and the guidelines.
They'll all be there, and we'll probably, if somebody has questions at town meeting, we'll address them there, I guess. Anything else? Are you good with that, Anna?
He answered my questions.
Okay. Jeff, have any questions on it?
I do not.
Delisa?
Nope.
Jerry?
No.
You're good?
Yeah.
So we have to vote on it to send it to town meeting.
I would
right, Maren?
recommend you ask if there's any public input. I don't
Okay.
see anybody with the hand raised at the moment, but you might want to wait a moment. There was one comment that I did post to the website from one resident, and that's part of the record.
This is John Markowitz. I live in Boxborough, and we're starting to look at this as well. And I'm just wondering, when do you expect this technology to come into play?
It's like now, it's as soon as the permitting process is done, it's more like when does the implementation come out, right? So I know they're in Boston now and they're working their way out. So it's like imminent.
Okay.
And so it's as soon as they get down the road, but the purpose of the bylaw really is they don't want municipal interference or basically price gouging on fees to impede the progress of 5G adoption. That's essentially, if you read the FCC's communication, that's essentially the spirit.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Anyone else? Anybody else there, Maren?
I don't see anybody with a hand raised.
Okay, so then I think we should vote to endorse this and send it to town meeting floor.
Okay, we recommend you close the public hearing.
I'm recommending we close the public hearing. No more input, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the 5G proposal to send it to town meeting for a town meeting vote.
And you might want to include that you recommend that town meeting,
Approve it.
that you also support the bylaw and recommend it to town meeting.
Okay,
Sorry.
someone want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, what Maren said, is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, it's a lot to repeat.
All right. Okay, anyone want to second that?
I'll second it.
All right. Then I'll start with Jeff,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes,
Delisa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, so we'll send it to town meeting floor, and somebody will be there on the 17th, I hope, probably me, but somebody. All right, whoever draws straws. Okay, so that one's taken care of. So now we have a 7 o'clock, 6:56, so we're a couple of minutes. We're a little ahead of the game.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll draft a very short report to town meeting, letting the town moderator know that the planning board held the required public hearing and voted to recommend to town meeting floor.
Please. And I'm going to try to run outside again. I want to see if because I know you want to see my smiling face. So let me see if I can go
Absolutely.
outside and see if my computer works out there.
Yep,
If not, I'll be back in a minute.
thank you.
I think your camera's off.
It might be it. So, Jerry, since you're the expert on this, how big are these paddles?
I think they range in size by carrier, right? Don't ask me. Ask the expert. Like, just Google it. There's a million pictures
Okay.
of them. They're like this. They're like it'd be something like a what would you call it? You think of like a button, like on your computer, like a beveled button.
Mm-hmm.
They're shaped like
The
aesthetically.
shape. Yeah.
Yeah, because remember when when they first started putting paddles up on the sides of buildings in like, I don't know, 2002, 2001 maybe. Like they looked like antennas, like really ugly.
Yeah, they were.
Outside of the building, it'd be like a mess of like aluminum. Yeah, they don't want it to look like that anymore. So now they're contained inside like a plastic shell. I'll let me see. I'll get a picture for you. They're kind of cool. It's come a long
So
way.
how are they going to bring 5G into like unpopulated areas? It's just not going to happen, or?
Well, I think that's it. I mean, their plan, I think, is like they're going for the high density first, right? And then they'll like distribute. I don't know how they're going to solve the distance problem.
I mean, maybe if it's unpopulated, they don't need 5G, but
if it's highly populated.
if it's if it's low population, maybe they won't.
Well, but your phone won't be able to push. You're not going to be able to push the data through that they're planning on.
Yeah.
So all of this, like high def video, zooming in high def, like all that media content's not going to fit through your phone in a couple of years.
And now we have remote
Remember how, like
learning
the
where
3G's died, like use a 3G phone now and like you can barely like pull up an email.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. Like they're going to flood your phone with just, I don't know how they're going to sustain, your battery. Like that's just so much data. It's not, it's 1 or 2 orders of magnitude more than what you're getting now. It'll be like going from like a single lane back road to 495. Yeah, it's pretty. Here, let's see what New York City looks like. Trying to get a picture from Verizon. All right, you gotta look a little harder.
it's okay. I'm just curious. I mean, I'm more curious about, the scale of them, and it sounds like they're fairly small. So,
Yeah, no, the other part of the infrastructure, like power supply, all that other stuff, that I'm not too sure about, like how they're gonna do that.
well,
And I
with
think-
some experience.
Yeah, I think the beauty of that is that the light department's proposed aesthetics or guideline covers a lot of that. Some early adoption areas were getting the poles with a lot of equipment, both on the pole and near the pole. And if it was, for example, in a sidewalk area, you no longer were able to pass on the sidewalk or couldn't meet accessibility requirements.
So they're gonna have to find a way to bury that infrastructure out of the way, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
or
it's gonna be interesting. Oh yeah, wait, let me see. I got a picture.
Yeah.
So here's one on a light pole. Want me to share?
Sure.
So it'd be something like this. You see my mouse?
Yeah. Like on a
Something like that. See how they're like little blocks?
Yeah.
But then imagine like, let's say you have 5 carriers. They each need their own box, their own paddle. So you could have like a bunch of these on a light pole.
Or every
What
light
else?
pole might have one. Yeah.
Yeah, or like because they're gonna have to. It's all line of sight. It's all line of sight. So they're gonna be out there surveying all these locations. It's gonna be funny when they start wiring up Wilton. You see people walking around trying to get a line of sight vector like everywhere. Be very interesting.
Okay, Myron, you can see me now, right?
yep, absolutely.
All right, so we're back on 7 o'clock.
Yep. 7 o'clock is the site plan review for the Cedar Hill water storage tank.
But we've lost Anna.
She's right there.
Oh, I don't see her. Oh, because there's an extra mark.
Yeah, get rid of one of me.
Yeah.
I will try to do that.
You didn't get rid of the other one, Mark.
I know.
I didn't?
No.
Well,
Don't get too close. We'll get all that
I
feedback.
kept it up in case I had to run back there.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you can get rid of me, right, Maren?
Well, but if I get rid of you, then you can never
Shut
come
that
back. So
computer down. You're going to get
All right,
feedback.
never mind then. All
Yeah.
right.
Mark, if you don't
Put it in
close
the
that, you're
waiting
going to
room, Maren.
feedback.
You want me to close the other one?
You have to. You're going to blow this mic out.
All right, let me run in and close the other one. I didn't know this one was going to work. This is technology. All right, you guys start. Read the public hearing, whatever.
okay, so now there's 3 of them.
Well, no, now he's gone, so he's doesn't need to do it.
He's a little high maintenance tonight.
Yeah.
This is Dave from LCTV. I put him in the waiting room.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, good
Well, that
move.
works.
Good move.
thank you. So remind me who's presenting for the water department,
Hey, can you guys see me?
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, awesome. So my name's Dave Ketchen. I'm the Assistant General Manager from the Light and Water Department. For those of you that don't know me, I've got John Gregory and Steve Dene, I believe are both here from Tate and Howard, our engineer presenting with me. And I'll wait for Mark to get back to get started. Unless you guys want me to go.
We'll see how fast he is.
I say go. Mark can catch up.
I can go. Yeah, so we're here tonight to present the plans to replace the existing Cedar Hill water storage tank. So basically, the origin of this project came last 2019 spring. We performed an inspection, routine inspection of the tank that happens every 5 years, and the inspection report came back and basically said we either needed major restorations or to replace the tank. And the original tank is from 1950. So the fiscally responsible option was to go about constructing a new tank. So the existing tank holds just about under 500,000 gallons of water, and the new tank will hold around that amount as well. The existing tank is basically steel from the ground up. The new tank is going to be like a composite concrete pedestal with a steel top. And I can show you guys a rendering of what that might look like later on if you'd like to see that as well. And this is very important to us because we use that tank to store potable water and to basically maintain proper pressure in the Long Lake area. So that's kind of why this is very important. And our plan construction-wise would be to keep the existing tank operational until the construction of the new tank is complete, then make the new tank operational, and then begin demolition of the old tank. So Steve or John, I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add. I didn't really touch on the site plan that we sent over to Maren, but that's the project in a nutshell.
I think Steve's going to talk a little bit about the specifics of the project, and then I'll go ahead and chime in as need be. So Steve, fire away.
Yeah, so the new tank is going to be a composite elevated tank, which basically it's going to have a 69-foot concrete pillar, and then the water storage tank will be on top of that. The overall height, it's really going to be about the same height as the existing tank there. But with the tank now on top of the pedestal, you have more usable water to help improve water quality. The schedule for this is to start construction next spring, doing the foundation, the pedestal, and then once the pedestal is complete, they'll build the tank where they'll weld it right on top of the pedestal. and then it'll need to get painted after that. As for the site, you'll have the new tank. There'll be, when it's completed, loam and seed leveled out. There'll be a black vinyl coated fencing around the new tank and the part where the existing tank is also. The existing tank, once the new tank is accepted by the town and is in use, the existing tank will get drained and then demolished. And then that most of that parcel will then become just a flat grass-filled area. The building there with that holds the communication equipment that will stay where it is though. If you've looked at this site plan, there is a little bit of water main improvements that'll be done on the street along Washington Street. This is really just to get a larger diameter main to connect to the tank. Right now, it's just a small diameter main in that section of the street. It's kind of a brief summary of the project. There will be antennas on the tank. It'll be the same number of antennas that are on the existing tank. They'll either be transferred over or the companies will put up new ones on top of the new tank. Let me see, zoning. So it's keeping to the offsets, 15 feet in the back and 30 feet from the main street setback. John, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, the only thing that I really wanted to add was that the Light and Water Department's been communicating with the public on this project. They initially sent out a mailer to inform the abutters in the area, generally any of the residents within the tank area of the upcoming project. Didn't really know a time frame at that point. It was still going out to funding and what have you, but they provided a mailer so they knew exactly what would be coming up, that the tank would be replaced, gave them an idea of what the tank would look like with a photograph and a rendering. And then subsequent to that, as we're at the design phase that we're at now, Dave, myself, and Steve had a kind of an online Zoom call with the residents. I believe it was last week. Seems like it was just yesterday. It was last week on the 23rd. There were a couple of residents in attendance. We shared the screen and showed some renderings of the tank and kind of gave them an overall view of what the site may look like, or it will look like once this project is complete. And there were a couple of questions, but really nothing too outlandish or anything from the residents. The two that were on the call seemed to be for the project. So just want to kind of close the loop on that the public is aware of what's going on here. And I know the Light and Water Department has been doing their best to keep them informed as we move forward with the project. So I think that's more or less what we wanted to present to the group here. And we're more than happy to answer any questions that anyone may have from the checklist or from the site plan that was provided for review.
Could you share with us the material that you shared with the neighbors?
Yes. Let me share my screen. So, Steve, I'll let you touch on this, but this is the rendering of the tank. Everyone can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
Steve-
the gray shaded part at the bottom, that'll be the concrete pedestal. And then the light blue shaded, that's the storage tank built on top of it. There's one personnel door and then an overhead door to enter the pedestal.
And just to be clear, the concrete pedestal portion does not contain any water. All the water, we call this an composite elevated tank. So all of the water is within that blue steel area shown on the rendering. And that provides more what we call usable storage for the water department. Based on the pressures in the area, as you get lower in the tank, as is the case with the existing tank, you can get into an area where there isn't as much usable storage in the tank. So with this here, just about all of that water will be usable since it's at a higher elevation and the pressure is higher at that elevation.
So how does it compare in height to the existing tank?
It's, by the time you get the top railing on, it's approximately the same height.
Okay.
So the existing tank is, I think, around 130, 135 feet.
Mhm.
No, this will be lower.
Yeah, this tank without the railing is like 110. With the railing, I don't know how tall the railing is, Steve.
The railing
maybe
will be at least 4 feet tall.
4 feet, so it's a little short.
And my impression would be that at the base, at the composite base, that it's actually less diameter than the existing tank.
It's
Yes,
about a little bit less.
a little bit less, yeah.
But I'll jump to the site plan that kind of gives you an idea.
Yeah.
So the existing tank is on the south portion of this parcel, and then the new tank, I'll zoom in, is just north of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the base, correct me if I'm wrong, is this inner circle right here.
That's correct. And that's about 24 feet in diameter. And then the existing tank is about 28. So pretty close.
And then I'll jump back up. This is an image from, I believe, Georgetown of a similar tank. So,
Similar. This is a bigger tank, but it's similar.
okay. That's kind of what it's going to look like. Similar color.
Mhm. Dave, I believe the plan is to match the existing tank color as close as possible. I think that's what your color choice has been.
Yeah, that would be our recommendation.
point,
Unless
yeah.
the board has any objections to that and would like to see something completely different.
You said how high is it? 135 feet?
No, it'd be more like 115 feet or so.
115 feet.
Right.
And none of the abutters, like this guy here at 39 Birch Road, no concerns.
But at the residents meeting, nobody had a
You're
concern.
essentially moving the tank. So now instead of being behind the house you're behind now is what is Google won't help me out. 35 Birch Road. You'll be basically across from the driveway of 35 Birch Road. So you actually won't. I still think you're in distance of the house. So no concerns from any of those neighbors.
None that we heard. One of the abutter on the very south side here attended the meeting and was just concerned that we didn't remove any of the existing trees along that property line, which we won't have to on this side. And then there was also concern that we'd remove these shrubs, and we might have to move a couple during construction, but we'd obviously replace what was existing there too.
Right. Do you have to move the supporting infrastructure that's down there? Isn't there like a little shed or something?
So that shed's going to remain existing. Here, I'll pull up this drawing. It might visually be a little easier. So these blue boxes here are the existing shacks there that will remain there. And we'll just underground pipe over the communications wires from the shed to the new tank.
But there's no, I mean, isn't there a generator out there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, none of that's going to change. Because I thought we had this conversation like 5-6 years ago where they were talking about noise abatement for the generator. And
Yeah, no, that's staying existing. It's a relatively small generator if my memory serves correctly.
Jerry, years ago, we had a conversation about when the cell towers went up, we made them put more vegetation, more trees out there to kind of block it a little bit. And
yeah, that's what I'm looking at it now. Like there's always a lot more screening there. So none of that's going to get touched. You're just going to offset that tower. What is that? 20
tower over. So
20 Is that
Buildings will
30 feet?
stay, they're still within the decibels for the generator for the cell towers. The cell towers are going to be moved over as well. And if at all possible, maybe put a more arborvitae's up there to screen it if you have to, if you're going to take some out.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, I have no.
Anyone else? Maren, does anyone have their hands raised?
No,
Nope.
not at the moment.
Okay. Anna, do you have any concerns or questions?
So I just had a quick question. Well, first, thank you guys for presenting this to us and also for sending out the mailer to the neighbors. I think that that's really important to be able to get their input. And I was just wondering, especially about the homeowner in the back who now is going to have something perhaps directly behind them. What about lighting? Will the lighting be fairly subdued in the area?
Yeah, I don't believe there's going to be any exterior lighting. I think there'll be a light on the ladders. Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think
Yeah,
those
the lighting will be, it's all internal. There will be one exterior light, but it's to be operated by a switch so that if someone's on site, they can put the light on. When they're
and there
leaving.
won't be a beacon either on the top.
Right. Yeah.
We got that clear.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, one of the specific requests from the Light and Water Department was not to have a motion censored light, which is going to go on and off periodically with anyone walking by or any stray animals walking by or anything like that. So that was avoided.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Delisa, do you have any questions or concerns? Did we lose Delisa? Nope. Maren, anybody, still no one with their hands raised?
Nobody with a hand raised.
Oh, Mark, sorry, I was on mute. No, I don't have any questions or concerns.
Okay, so we have to vote to approve the site plan and special permit. Is there a site plan or it's just a site plan, right?
Yeah, just a site
Yes.
plan. There was a draft site plan decision. I do need to make one correction on the street address. And I'll make that before finalizing the decision.
Does anyone have any problems with the exception of the site plan?
No.
Haven't heard none. How about a motion to approve the site plan as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan as presented.
Second,
Second. Okay, I'll go down the list. Jeffrey,
Yes.
Delisa,
Yes.
Anna,
yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So, thank you, gentlemen.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're back. Okay.
Okay, we had 7:15 public hearing for 22 King Street.
Okay. Are they ready?
They're on the way. I'll start with reading the hearing notice and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Planning Board special permits, 22 King Street, public hearing notice. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 1 at 7:15 p.m. to consider the application for special permits pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A and the Town Code of the Town of Littleton zoning. The application is for an Aquifer and Water Resource District special permit under sections 173-61 through 173-64 and site plan review under section 173-16 through 173-19 of the Littleton zoning bylaws. Property location 22 King Street, map U42, parcel 1. Applicant Justice Resource Institute, owner Concord Family and Youth Services. The applicant is seeking special permit approvals to allow site updates, including a new parking area, increasing impervious cover within the Aquifer District. Applications and plans can be viewed at the Planning Board projects page of the town website at littletonma.org. and to the extent that they may be open at the planning board and town clerk's offices during their business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed plan should appear at the time and place designated or provide written comment by September 30, if possible, to m2hill@littletonma.org or P.O. Box 1305, Littleton 01460. And it goes on, access to the town offices is limited due to the declared state of emergency. In-person attendance at meetings is therefore currently restricted given building closures due to COVID-19, and the date of reopening of the town offices is not presently clear. Based on the foregoing, the public hearing will be held in room 103 of the Shattuck Street Town Offices, 37 Shattuck Street, if the town offices have reopened prior to October 1, and otherwise shall be held remotely via Zoom video conferencing, with details to be made available on the planning board agenda when posted a minimum of 48 hours prior to the meeting. In either event, the public hearing can be viewed live on LCTV or online at littleton.bod.castus.tv/VOD. Please feel free to call the planning board office at 978-540-2425 with any questions. Jeff Yates, clerk.
Thank you.
I believe the applicant is prepared for a brief presentation. We do have Tom Bigelow here from Green International to provide an overview of the status of the peer review as well.
Great. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mairead. My name is Michael Whitmore, and I am the architect working with JRI on this proposal. And I have with me tonight Brian Marchetti from McCarty Engineering, who have prepared the plans. Just a very brief history of the program. As most folks in Littleton know, a variety of programs have operated on the site at 22 King Street over the past 30 years. And in 2017, the program changed focus to work with younger children and also became an educational facility. Other than just a straight residential program, we actually provide on-site schooling for the residents who are living there. And in the course of that, over the past 3 years, the intensity of services that are being provided increased, which resulted in increases in staffing levels during the daytime, particularly during school hours. And this was in response to both safety concerns for the children, as well as educational and behavioral support for the kids living at the program. Early this year, we had a site visit with a few different departments from the town of Littleton, and they expressed concerns about parking on the site and potential impacts on public safety access, number one, and secondly, any impact that it might have on traffic on King Street and its extension to Eyre Road. So we very quickly began work with both the planning department as well as the building department to come up with a plan to resolve that situation, and brought Brian Marchetti and McCarty Engineering on board to come up with a plan. So what we've done is we've put together an approach that increases parking on the site from 12 spaces, which are provided currently, to a total of 32 spaces. And this acknowledges peak loads that occur typically on school days in the middle of the day, when a certain group of both school staff, administration, as well as behavioral and residential support staff are all on site at the same time. So we have established that the census remains the same. It's actually one bed less than it used to be when it was the group residence for the older boys. And it's mostly a matter of having additional staff during school days on site. So what I'll do is turn this over to Brian, and we'll try and present very briefly what the four main sort of areas of work are that are involved in the project, and then we can address any questions that the board may have.
My name is Brian Marchetti with McCarty Engineering. As Mike said, McCarty's working on the civil design aspect of this project. Larry Green from McCarty is also on the Zoom meeting today. I'm going to have him lead you through the aspects of the project with particular details, and then in the end, my primarily role with this was more stormwater related, so whatever questions we have relative to that, we can all weigh in. So I'll have Larry take over.
Good evening, everyone. If Marion, if you could upload the site plan, you can just quickly go kind of do a quick summary of the project site.
Actually, I can share my screen and
Awesome.
we'll get that up.
There you go. Thank you. So good evening, Larry Green from McCarty Engineering. Just do a quick summary of the site, kind of existing conditions, and then touch on some of the proposed development. So the site's about 2 acres in size. To the left of the site is it abuts a single family residence. To the right, it abuts the Indian Hill Music School. Topographically, kind of going top of the page, down to the bottom of the page, kind of goes high to low. And then within the site, kind of you see interior of the site right in the middle, that kind of white kind of rectangle is the existing dorm building. And then behind that is the classroom. And then to the back left of that is the basketball court and pool area. Now, as Mr. Whitmore stated, kind of the goal of this project is to kind of alleviate some of the parking congestion, but also to provide enhanced effluent treatment. So, but also in achieving these two goals, we are also going to propose some building demolition. So kind of going back in the area of the pool area, that kind of middle of the plan you're looking at, that pool area, we are proposing to remove that pool area and decking. That'll aid in reducing our impervious cover. That area will be loamed and seeded, with potentially one area maybe mulched, and they may add a playground structure there. Now, kind of staying on that left side of the plan, working your way down. This is also kind of we foresee this as our construction sequencing, kind of going middle of the page and then working our way down. So going to that kind of busy looking rectangle, kind of just below the pool area, that's going to be our enhanced septic system. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of the existing septic tank that's going to be in the proposed parking lot, float a pump chamber, up to 2 settling tanks that'll provide denitrification, and then that'll actually flow gravity into that Presby leach field, will again provide additional effluent treatment and then also aid in groundwater infiltration. And then just below that, you can see the 22 stall parking lot situated below that, and then that'll be accented by ornamental plantings to the left of that, and below that along the street. That area will also have low-scale residential lighting, which will be night sky compliant. And then staying on that parking topic, kind of going to the far right of the page, to the right of the existing dorm building, we are proposing 2 handicap spaces. And then also in that area, we are going to aid in kind of providing a better turning moment for the truck driver for the dumpster. Now going back over to the parking lot, just in reference to stormwater management, Mr. Marchetti discussed, is we're going to provide a rain garden, which will aid in groundwater infiltration, and which will also provide pre-treatment. And then below that, for the large rain events, we'll propose an underground infiltration unit. That's just a quick summary of the proposed development.
Can you talk about how you access the site? It looks like you're getting rid of one of the accesses and providing another one, and go through your thinking about how you dealt with the intersection.
So basically the vehicular circulation that arrow is going to stay the same, come in, come out. And basically we have that to the kind of the middle of the 2 parking lot. That's where we have that light. So that'll be our exit. We're still going to maintain the existing traffic patterns. We're just aiding in providing additional parking.
Okay.
And then that arborvitae hedgerow, which is in front of the existing spaces in front of the school, that'll be maintained as well.
Board have any other questions? Jerry, do you have any?
Yeah. No, it's good.
Okay. Anna?
So I have a question. I think there are a bunch of trees on the left-hand side of the residential area. Is that correct? And if so, are all of those trees going to remain with this new construction?
So basically, what you see kind of is the white around the I'll call it the gray parking lot, and as I said, the busy rectangle. The edge of that white is our limit of work. So nothing beyond that line will be disturbed. So we propose the parking lot in that area just so we could take advantage of the existing lawn area and minimize all that vegetation disturbance.
Okay.
So that area which is circled will stay vegetated.
Okay, that's not the part I was speaking to. I was speaking to the existing residential unit, and at least in the photo I saw, it looked like there's a lot of trees just to the left of the building. So
all those maples will be coming down.
okay, all of them?
Yes. Yep. Unfortunately.
Hey, throw up. Can you hear me? If you Google that and throw the picture up, Anna, you can actually see what it looks like right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of trees there.
Tons. Yeah, but none of the trees on the left are coming down, right? It's just the trees that abut the house. The front
Right.
is untouched. Yeah. So you'll lose. The neighbor's not going to lose any coverage.
Right. Well, I was just thinking about it from the perspective of it being a residential development for young people and being able to have trees. I mean, the whole nature component of it close to the house is what I was thinking about. So
we are proposing to replace some of those in that area, but not, so I think there's going to be 2 or 3 in that area. There'll be new plantings.
So you will be replacing a few of them, is what
Correct.
You're saying.
Yep.
As well as the trees that are affected along the frontage of the property.
Okay.
So those will be replaced with maples and then a variety of shrubs as well.
Okay.
So that's not a scenic roadway. You don't need a permit for those, do you?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so. Is that's not part of scenic roadway, right, Maren?
I mean, I think it turns to Air Road right there.
Yeah.
But I will double check.
Otherwise, the tree warden has to weigh in, right?
Yep.
No, it's not the scenic roadway.
I don't think so. I'm just assuming it's not, but it might not be.
I don't think it is. Delisa, do you have any questions or concerns?
Nope.
So the little history on this, it started 30 years ago as a house like a halfway house or kind of something like that back then, if I'm not mistaken. And it was basically for young girls, right?
That's correct.
Then it went to a kind of a family family, but people. It's always had the component of troubled or children, now both sexes living there until they're 18 or 20 or something like that, and that's still the way it is.
2017 is when it transitioned to younger children. The kids that are living here are elementary school as opposed to the high school age boys that lived there before.
Yeah, they were the last. Yes, they were the last ones. Yeah.
So now we have, it's a younger coeducational program, and they're also receiving schooling on site.
And they live there, right? Correct?
That's correct.
How many students?
15.
15 students, okay.
Yes.
All right.
So the additional parking and septic is basically due to the increase in staff?
Yes, sir.
I noticed on the plans, and it's not part of this, but indicating that the playground would need to be moved. Is that been determined how that's going to happen?
That is actually the first step of the project is to demolish the existing swimming pool and deck area around that, and then relocate the existing playground equipment that's located centrally up into this area here. And the advantages are it will remove impervious surface to counteract some of the other paving that we're doing or mitigate that. And the other advantage for the program is that by locating the recreational equipment up here, it's closer to a paved ball court area and other recreational activities that they have. And then we take that space over below, and this will be open green space, basically lawn above the septic system, which will provide a more sort of free recreational area where the kids can play ball games and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Is this still residential? I believe.
Yes. It is in a residential zone.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Okay. Board, have any other questions or concerns?
Well, what about all the items on the peer review?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have Tom. Tom's here. Can he address where we're at with the peer review for this?
Yes, hi, good evening. So we submitted our peer review comments to the town. I believe that was on Wednesday, just yesterday. So we've completed our initial peer review of the site. And I'm really here as just more of a familiar face to the board tonight. The engineers that completed the peer review are from our office. Jim Thorne is the project engineer, and also we have Shaheen, who is the project manager and group leader from our water resources group. So I'm actually going to turn it over to Jim to kind of give a little bit more of a highlights of the peer review, and he can also assist with any of the questions that the board may have.
So like Tom said, I won't go through all the questions one by one. I'll just kind of pick some of the more important questions. I guess I'll start with comment number 21. I had a few ADA, MAB regulation comments. One in particular was to please confirm the existing handicap ramps at the northeast corner and southeast corner of the building will not be impacted by the regrading of the handicap spaces. Just want to emphasize any new wheelchair ramp should meet ADA or MAB standards.
So if I can speak to that, like you said, we just got the comments yesterday. So we'll take all these comments, we'll respond to each one of them. But after our review of every one of these comments, they're very simple to address. It's really just adding additional detail to the plans. There's nothing on this whole comment letter that really was a red flag to us.
Okay, yeah, it just seemed like some additional spot grades would cover it. So yeah, no big deal. Another question or comment we had was it appears the proposed stormwater recharge system doesn't have an overflow. If the system failed, it would overflow out the top of the catch basin and the rain garden would overflow onto the street. It is recommended to have a controlled overflow or an emergency spillway for the rain garden.
Yep, we'll agree with that. The existing site has no stormwater infrastructure. It's not, or no connections to any public infrastructure within King Street and Air Road. Right now, all the runoff sheet flows in a southerly direction down to King Street. So this proposed design was oversized so that we're using green infrastructure with a rain garden to collect and treat and infiltrate. And then the larger storms we've added, because of the limited area we had available between the parking area and King Street, we've added an underground infiltration basin underneath the parking lot. So the overflows, the high flows, will flow out of the rain garden into the underground infiltration basin. It's been sized so that every storm event up to and including the 100-year storm event will be infiltrated. The test pits that we performed on site, we went down at least 10 feet, and every single one of the test pits, there was no groundwater encountered. There was no modeling in the soils. So the groundwater table in this area is extremely low, and it's all a really good sand. So we see no reason why these infiltration systems with maintenance, won't be long-term solutions. But like you said, we agree, just in case, something gets clogged, we will add a type of riprap spillway or something so that the stormwater runoff does have a pathway to get back to King Street and Air Road, as opposed to blowing out the berm and causing a runoff erosion event. So we can easily add that to the plan.
Since you did mention the test pits and borings, after kind of review of the geotech report, we didn't see the actual test pit and boring locations. Can you confirm they're in the proximity of the rain garden and recharge system?
Yes, they're on the, I just confirmed looking at the plan set, they're not on the actual site plans, but they are on the drainage figures that were submitted.
Okay.
Let me see.
I guess, Mark, if you don't mind, I did take a quick look at all the peer review comments, and both the design engineer and the peer review engineer seem to agree that it's a matter of making some revisions. There don't seem to be any engineering feats that can't be overcome. Should be fairly simple corrections to make to the plans and or calculations. Timing wise, it sounded like revised plans can be back to us within a couple weeks for a second re-review by Green in time for, and we could draft a decision for the board's use at the November meeting.
Yeah, can we get this all wrapped up? Granted, I know they just got it yesterday, so maybe we continue this till our meeting in November and make sure both Green and Brian are on the same page and close it and vote the conditions right then and there. Would that work for you gentlemen?
Certainly. Is this board okay with Tetra Tech, excuse me, McCarty working directly with Green International instead of going through?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. It speeds up the process. That way, when you work, go back and forth, just make sure that when you come back before us, everybody's sort of in agreement with what's going on and move on from there. Does that work?
Yeah, we'd certainly prefer that. We've been scolded otherwise in other towns by communicating directly, but I want to make sure you guys are all right with it.
Obviously, keep Maren in the loop, but
yep.
So why don't we continue this till Maren? When's our next meeting?
November 6th. Hang on.
Why don't we continue?
Wait. Just as a matter of procedure, just make sure you CC Maren on every communication. That's all.
Yep. Understood.
Yep.
And
yes, so Thursday, November 5 would be the next hearing. And one thing we haven't done yet is asked for any public input. I don't see anybody with a hand raised, but just in case.
Just in case, but so November 5th.
Do you want to do this
early?
Right, at the beginning 6:45?
Sure. Does that work for everyone?
Absolutely.
You have a month to get it all straightened out, and at the same time, Maren will work with your counsel or whoever you want to draft a decision. And Anna has one more question. I knew I couldn't get away that quick.
Actually, it's not a question, it's more of a request. I know that sometimes with the different iterations, it's hard to have the updated versions and then have the peer review done again. So to the degree that we can have that done sequentially so that we do have the second set of plans as amended, as needed, I should say. And then the peer review after that, that would be fabulous because sometimes we kind of get one ahead of the other and it doesn't really work out very well. So that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So 6:45, November 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions before we continue this till a month from now? Okay. Having heard nothing, Okay. Maren, do you want me to have somebody make a motion that we continue this? I see you shaking your head.
Yep.
I'll entertain a motion to continue this site plan till November 5th at 6:45, if someone would be so,
And special permits.
and special permit, if someone would be so kind to make that motion.
I so move.
Second,
A second.
all those in favor, Anna,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yeah.
Delisa,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you in about a month.
All right, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have a 7:45. I believe we're almost on time. Public hearing for 151 and 153 Taylor Street, major commercial industrial special permit, water resource district special permit and site plan for Amazon's last mile warehouse operation.
Hey, and guess what? It's another new public hearing.
Oh, go ahead, Maren.
Thank you very much. Planning Board special permits, 151 and 153 Taylor Street, last mile distribution facility. The Town of Littleton Planning Board will hold a consolidated public hearing on Thursday, October 1, 2020 at 7:45 p.m. to consider the application to modify prior special permits pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 48, and the Code of the Town of Littleton zoning. The application is for major commercial or industrial use special permit under Section 173-86 through 173-88, an aquifer and water resource district special permit under Sections 173-61 through 173-64, and site plan review under Section 173-16 through 173-19 of the Littleton zoning bylaws. Property location 151 and 153 Taylor Street, map R10, parcels 14-0 and 14-1, applicant NBP2 Littleton LLC, owners NBP2 Littleton LLC, and DXC Technology Services LLC. The applicant is seeking special permit approvals to allow redevelopment and use of industrial zone property. The proposed project includes development of a warehouse distribution facility with stormwater and utility improvements, 600 van parking spaces, 138 associate parking spaces, 30 commuter parking spaces, and 8 loading docks to serve the building currently under construction at 151 Taylor Street. Work would also include demolition of the existing office building at 153 Taylor Street. Access to town offices is currently limited due to the declared state of emergency. In-person attendance at meetings is therefore restricted due to COVID-19, and the date of full reopening of the town offices is not presently clear. Based on the foregoing, the public hearing will be held in room 103 of the Shattuck Street Town Offices, 37 Shattuck Street, if the town offices have fully reopened prior to October 1, and otherwise will be held remotely via Zoom video conferencing, with details to be made available on the planning board agenda when posted a minimum of 48 hours prior to the meeting. In either event, the public hearing can be viewed live on LCTV or online at littleton.bod.castus.tv/VOD. Please feel free to call the planning board office at 978-540-2425 with any questions. Applications and plans can be viewed on the town website, littletonma.org, or at the planning board and town clerk's office by appointment. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed plan should appear at the time and place designated or provide written comment by September 29, if possible, to m2hill@littletonma.org or P.O. Box 1305, Littleton MA 01460, signed Maren Toohill, Town Planner.
Thank you.
And again, I believe we can expect a similar format as to the last hearing. The presentation from the applicant, Tom from Green International, and his team are prepared for just a real quick overview of their start on the peer review, and then we can outline the process moving forward.
Great.
Terrific. My name's Todd Morey. I'm from Beals Associates. We are the civil engineers and permit coordinators for Northbridge Partners on this project. I have a fairly lengthy list of people that are on this meeting with me. I don't think all of them will be presenting, but I do want to just go through it. If I forget anybody,
on our team. Forgive me, I was watching the roster as it was going along. So from Northbridge Partners, this evening we have Brian Orr, Owen Hall, and Pat Mullane. From Amazon, we have Calvin Champlin and Jessica Schumer. From Greenman Peterson, our traffic consultants, Rebecca Brown is on with us. Also from my office, Larry Beals and Matthew Costa are on this call. And from BL Companies, who is Amazon's consultant and architect, we have Christine Peterson. So I think with everybody we've got here, hopefully any question that may come up this evening can be adequately addressed and answered. I have a set of presentation slides that, if it's okay with the board, I'd like to just share my screen. We can jump right into that. Hopefully that came up for everybody. There we go. And everybody can see that okay?
Yep.
Perfect. We went through a permitting process with the town, with the planning board and the conservation commission that concluded last February for a speculative warehouse building located at 151 Taylor Street. That is the building that is under construction right now. That's in the forefront of this picture. So this picture was taken about 2 weeks ago, and it shows the progress there. For orientation on this, get my pointer here. Taylor Street is down in the corner here. You can just see Route 2 up in the corner here, and then the common drive that comes into 151 Taylor, and then 153 Taylor, which we'll also be talking about this evening, is here in the back. Recently, Northbridge Partners put 153 Taylor Street under agreement in an effort to combine this 151 building that you can see with the land on 153 Taylor Street and work with Amazon to create a last mile distribution facility. The existing building down at 153 Taylor Street here in the back is a 2-story office building. It's approximately 193,000 total square feet with over 650 parking spaces in both the front here and the back. That building is currently owned by DXC Technologies, which is an offshoot from Hewlett-Packard. In about July of this year, Northbridge and Amazon came to terms on the development, and we've been working with both groups since to make some changes to the overall site plan at 151 Taylor to accommodate their program, as well as design the facilities that we'll talk about this evening down at 153 Taylor Street. There we go. Here's just an aerial view that was taken several years ago of the two buildings as they were about a year ago, before we took down the building at 151 Taylor. Again, Route 2 is over here. We have Taylor Street that comes across. Route 495 is right there. And as you can see from this aerial shot, this type of location is very conducive to any kind of warehousing, distribution, any use similar to that, just because you are right at the intersection of these two major highways. You have two full interchanges in very close proximity to each other, so you can literally get on a highway east, west, north, or south without traveling a very long distance, which is a pretty rare piece of land to find anywhere, much less here in Massachusetts. Going through, oops. When the two properties lay out, and we'll get into each one of these, the 151 Taylor and the 153 Taylor in more detail as we get further into the presentation. We have some parking facilities that we're going to expand here on the easterly side of the existing building. The loading and queuing for the vans will happen in the back, and then this will be the limit of the truck loading area. Trucks will still come in the main drive, come around the building, load back here, and then leave the property. The delivery vans, which will be mainly parked down in this area, will have the opportunity to come up. They'll stage here. They'll actually drive through the building and come back out. Jessica Schumer from Amazon will be talking a little bit more in with some more detail about the exact operation and how they work. And then down here on 153, as you can see, there's no building. We're not putting a building down there at all. We have some additional employee parking located in this area. We have 30 parking spaces that we've located that will serve as overflow for the commuter rail station. And then we have exactly 600 delivery van parking spaces, which are a little bit larger in size. Just to go back to the prior permitting efforts. So we received site plan review, special permit for a major industrial use, and the Aquifer and Water Protection District special permit as well from the Planning Board back in February. We also received an order of conditions from the Conservation Commission about a week after we received the Planning Board approval. We met earlier this week on Monday evening with the Conservation Commission to work through 2 different permits with them. The way they're structured, they preferred to amend the existing order of conditions for 151 Taylor Street and issue a whole new order of conditions for 153 Taylor Street. The real reason is that that's currently 2 pieces of there's still 2 pieces of property. So it wasn't really appropriate to just amend a single order of conditions that would cover 2 pieces of property with 2 separate owners. As we go through the zoning on both of these properties, much like 151 Taylor, 153 Taylor is located in the industrial A zone. It will still require, since this will be rolled in and be part of the land use at 151, it will still require a special permit for major industrial use. These types of uses are noted as a permitted use in your zoning tables. The site is also within the Aquifer and Water Resource District, 153 Taylor. So as such, it will need the same special permit coverage that 151 Taylor needs. And the only issue that we found with the zoning that we felt we should discuss with the board and discuss our proposed solution is with parking. So under your ordinance and parking bylaws, all the required parking for a facility has to either be on the same lot or it has to be on a separate lot within 300 feet of the use. 153 Taylor Street and the parking that's down there is not within 300 feet. The lot itself is, but where the parking is located is well over 300 feet away. Since this will be the same ownership, once we receive all permits, Northbridge will close on this property and they will become the owner of 153 Taylor. What will happen at that point is they will consolidate the lots into a single lot. It'll be a voluntary lot merger. It's very similar to an A&R process. We prepare a lot merger plan or a lot consolidation plan, I believe it's called, bring it to the planning board, and as long as it meets all the zoning criteria, the base zoning criteria, it's done. We cannot do that right now because they're different owners until all the permits are received. So in order to provide some level of comfort to the planning board that will be the process and that's how it will work, and which would also bring the parking into zoning compliance, we'd like to recommend a condition on the amended approvals here that the applicant, NBP2 Littleton LLC, needs to present to the board a lot consolidation plan for your endorsement. So at this point, what I'd like to do, if we're ready to move on, is have Jessica Schumer talk a little bit about the general operation and some of the specifics of how this site works, when vehicles are coming and going, and the hours of operation. So, Jessica?
Sure. Thanks, Todd, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name is Jessica Schumer. I'm an economic development manager with Amazon, covering the Northeast, so Northern Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, focusing mostly on what I'm going to talk to you tonight, which is our last mile delivery stations. So that is what we were proposing for this site. I don't know how many of you are Amazon customers. I know a lot of my income goes back to Amazon. But if you are and you order packages from us right now, they arrive at your door basically one of three ways: the Postal Service, UPS, or increasingly our own last mile delivery network. And that's what this station will be. It'll be the last stop a package takes before it goes to your door. So the way this site works is in the overnight hours, we will have our line haul trailers or 18-wheelers coming in overnight. This site should expect to receive between 8 and 12 of them, loaded with packages from within our fulfillment network, starting out often at a fulfillment center, like the one we have in North Andover, for example. Those trucks are unloaded by our associates. Our associates arrive at this, they park, I'm sorry, the trucks go into that red area. Our associates also arrive in the overnight hours and park in these yellow spaces. These associates are full-time Amazon employees for the most part. They are making at least $15 an hour, which is what we mandate all employees make. And they are receiving full benefits, so medical, dental, vision, 401k, the same benefits package that I get and that our corporate executives get, our associates get. They arrive in those overnight hours, and at this site, I should add, we expect to have, I would say, around between 40 to 50 full-time associate roles. They arrive in these, they unpack the packages, the line hauls, and put them into what I guess we can describe as baker's racks full of hockey bags. And they wait there until the morning start, until the morning. In the morning, the packages are sent out for delivery. That happens via our third-party delivery service providers. These are third-party contractors we contract with that employ van drivers. The vans are owned by Amazon and leased back to these third-party service providers, delivery service providers. They are branded Amazon, and because they would be garaged at the Littleton site, we would also be paying the excise tax to the town because they are garaged there. So in the morning, the first wave of van drivers will arrive at the site in their personal vehicles. The van drivers would arrive between 9 and 9:30 to the site. They would park their personal vehicles in some of the empty blue spaces. Now, most of those blue spaces will be filled with Amazon vans, but there'll be a few empty spaces, and those van drivers will put their personal vehicles in there. There'll be about 30 of them, 30 drivers, I should say. They'll get into the vans and drive them to the green area. It's the green area where those vans are loaded and sent out for delivery in waves of 30 vans every 20 to 30 minutes. That first wave leaves the site around between 9:30 and 10 a.m. after the morning rush hour. And then once that group leaves, a new group comes in. So now there's more empty blue spaces where the vans have left. So those new drivers will put their personal vehicles in the empty spaces, get more vans, go to the green or the purple area for staging, and again load out. And this continues in waves until the full cycle of vans has left. So waves of 30 vans every 20 or so minutes. Those vans are making deliveries for 10 hours within a 45-minute drive radius of the site. So they don't come back. The first wave of vans won't return until after the evening rush hour, so around 7 p.m. And they will put their vans in the empty spaces, take their personal vehicles, and leave the site. And that will again happen. So basically what happened in the morning happens in reverse in the evening as that blue area switches over from personal vehicles, which had been all day, to vans in the evening. Then I should say this site would look to employ probably around 300 to 400 full-time van drivers. Again, those are not our employees, but they would be full-time roles, and we do mandate our contractors pay at least $15 an hour. It's often more in the Northeast. Then in the only other thing I should talk about with this site is in the afternoon around 4 o'clock, we have what are called Amazon Flex drivers. So as I said, most of those 18-wheelers would come in the overnight hours, but we will get the occasional one during the day because of traffic or weather or same-day delivery. And those packages are sent out by our Flex drivers. Our Flex program is similar to Uber or Lyft, but instead of using your personal vehicle to deliver people, you're delivering packages. So around 4 o'clock, we would have those Flex vehicles come on site. They would get packages to deliver them, and they would not return to the site unless there was an undeliverable package for some reason. And that is
That's it.
basically sort of the life of the questions that you.
You're freezing.
I am. I'm sorry. That was everything I had.
Last 10 seconds. You're gone.
That was everything I had. Sorry, my internet can sometimes be a little janky.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you, Jessica.
service.
So we also have Rebecca Brown from Greenman Peterson here. They performed the traffic study for the original round of permitting and as well as for this update. So hopefully, Rebecca, you're still on, and if you'd like to talk through this traffic update.
Sure. Actually, Todd, if you want to go back one slide. I know that Jessica already talked about some of this and you talked about some of this as well, but just kind of to give a little bit of an overview about the traffic study and kind of why this particular site works. I know some of these items have already been hit on, but this particular project is actually a reduction in the amount of traffic that would be generated as compared to the previous Hewlett-Packard site, as well as the previously approved warehouse and distribution site that was approved last year. It also has been determined that this facility will not actually decrease any of the levels of service on any of the study area roadways. And the reason that this happens is partly because with this site being located in an industrial zone so close to the highway, it's distanced from other residential uses. There is a lot of additional capacity on the roadway during the off-peak hours. There's kind of that flood of traffic that happens right now during the commuter hours on and off the highways, but during the off-peak hours, there's very little traffic on the roadways.
Great. Excuse me, I need to interrupt for a moment. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
We're having some problems with people accessing the meeting. Given it's a public hearing, I wanted LCTV to double check that there are, I've gotten 2 emails that people can't attend. Dave?
Are they hitting the right link?
What, 2 emails and 1 phone call at the same time.
I know, but you're only at 32 participants. It's not even
Yeah, I
close.
know. Bruce, we're working on it.
Hey, Maren, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
I don't mean to bug you.
We're working on it.
Maren, can you hear me?
We need to pause until you resolve the issue or no?
We should, yeah.
Okay, I mean, we can see everybody. We have, like Jerry said, we have 32 participants.
Right. It's Jonathan Leibowitz, Renee Fair, Bruce Ringwald, people that I imagine are interested in the 8:15 public hearing.
I'm gonna hop off the share for a minute here to look at a couple things.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Okay.
So LCTV, I'll check it for us. Oh, I see what happened. Okay.
People are starting to appear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's working again. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
We're all set?
Yeah.
So you get back. Is that back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. Are we good to move forward?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so as I was explaining, while there is a lot of traffic on the roadway today during the commuter hours, in the off-peak hours, there's actually very little traffic along Taylor Street. And the majority of the traffic that would be generated by the Amazon falls within those off-peak hours, as you heard from Jessica's presentation. Because of that, the levels of service on the road are really pretty similar to what is being experienced now during the morning and afternoon peak periods. Todd, if you want to go to the next slide.
Yeah, I do want to go to the next slide. Now what happened?
Doesn't want to let you advance, huh?
No, there we go.
All right, perfect, thanks. So we put together a traffic impact study that included the same study area as the previous warehouse development, which included the 2 ramps on Route 2 to Taylor Street, as well as the site driveway and the intersection of Taylor Street and Foster Street. Because of COVID-19 happening right now and impacts to existing traffic volumes along the roadways, we actually used the traffic volumes that were collected back in October of 2019 to use towards this traffic study. That methodology was reviewed by the town's peer reviewer, Green International, and they did concur that it was appropriate to use that method. So we did use the same baseline traffic volumes that were used for that previous study. The first part of our study included a review of the safety of these study area intersections. So we looked at the collision history from the most recent 3-year period that was available on file from Mass DOT, which was 2016 to 18. At the time that we did the study, there was also data available through September of 2019. So we did include that data as well. And that indicated that the crash rates at all of the study area intersections were lower than the state and district-wide averages, and all of the intersections experienced an average of 2 crashes per year or fewer. So no significant safety issues at any of the intersections. As I mentioned already, we did use the traffic volumes that were used that were collected back in October of 2019. We grew those traffic volumes out to a 2027 future year condition by applying a 1% per year growth rate to get out to the 2027, and then adding traffic that it was generated by a number of other development projects in the area, including the Durkee Farms development and the Enclave at Boxborough as well, and the Park and Ride expansion along Foster Street. If you want to go to the next slide. So this slide is summarizing how much traffic would actually be generated by the proposed facility, and compares that to what was previously generated based on, what was anticipated to be generated for the previously approved warehouse and office development, along with reoccupancy of the Taylor Street Hewlett-Packard site. If you look at this, you can see that in comparison, on a daily basis, the proposed Amazon actually generates about 500 trips fewer than the previously approved development. And during all of the time periods, it's actually less than the previously approved development, with the exception of the weekday midday peak hour. And that's a little bit higher as some of the Amazon, the delivery drivers would be coming in, picking up their vehicles, and then heading back out during that midday time period. And that's really in that like 10 to 12 time period in the morning that's occurring. But even then, you can see that it's only an increase of about 19 vehicles during that peak hour as compared to the previous use. And all of this information was based on the detailed data that Jessica described. I'm not sure that it's necessary to walk through all of that again, but it was all prepared based on the employee shift times, the anticipated delivery schedules, the platooning of vehicles leaving the site and traveling out over the study area network. If you want to move to the next one. So we distributed these trips out over the study area in 2 different methods. So for the employee trips, we used a journey to work model that looked at the place of residency for people who work within the town of Littleton. And those are the numbers that you can see in the normal text right next to the little red arrows. Thank you, Todd, for highlighting those. So that's the distribution that's based on the employees. Now, the deliveries will follow a slightly different distribution than the employees. And as it was described, we anticipate that deliveries would be made within about a 45-minute driving radius from the site. So we looked at the building density using GIS information to look at the building density within about a 45-minute driving radius. And that was adjusted to crop out the areas that fall within the I-95 belt, assuming that that area would be serviced by a separate Amazon facility. And this is kind of showing you just the resulting trips through the study area network. Based on this, you can see that along Taylor Street, the increases in traffic are about 1 to 17 vehicles during any of the peak hours. And that relates to about 1 additional vehicle every 3.5 to 60 minutes. So it's a pretty low number of additional vehicles coming through on Taylor Street. Obviously, the majority of the traffic will be to and from Route 2. So higher increases will occur on Route 2. If you want to go to the next slide, Todd. So the last component was to look at, once we distribute all of this traffic out over the study area network, what does the actual level of service, what are the delays looking like, and what are the queues looking like? And this graphic here is showing you these little bubbles that you see represent the delays during the weekday morning peak hour in the upper left-hand corner. The weekday midday peak hour, that's that 10 to 11 o'clock in the morning time period in the upper right-hand corner. And then the one in the bottom represents the weekday evening peak hour. That's your 4 to 6 time period, that evening commuter period. And you can see here that, and these are all color-coded to match the level of service. So a level of service D is highlighted in orange, and anything really better than that, shown in green, really represents good traffic flow along the roadway, very little delay. And you can see that during any of these time periods, the highest level of service that we ever experience at any of the study area intersections is a level of service D, which is generally considered an acceptable level of service. None of the study area intersections are anticipated to have increases in delay of more than 4 seconds per vehicle as a result of the additional traffic from the Amazon. And queues on any of the approaches to any of these intersections are not expected to increase by more than 1 vehicle on any of those locations. So as I mentioned before, really the traffic can very easily be handled by the existing roadway network, based on the fact that there's very little increase in traffic as a result of the Amazon during those peak time periods. And the majority of the traffic will be occurring during those off-peak time periods. With that, I can turn it back over to Todd.
Thanks. So what I'd like to do is spend a few minutes, and I'll try to make this as brief as possible, just highlighting the changes that we're proposing to 151 Taylor Street, and then go through some of the design highlights at 153 Taylor Street. So on 151 Taylor, this was the plan that you folks had approved back in February. So there was a 143,640 square foot building footprint. There was a mezzanine on there that brought it up to over 159,000 square feet total gross area. We've dropped the mezzanine. That goes away. The entrance off the common driveway was located right here. We had 1 row of parking along the easterly side of the building. We also had double bayed parking that was on either side of the truck access that came to the back. We had loading docks that go into the building here with scattered parking in between, and then an abbreviated truck circle here. Stormwater infiltration system located here that had 1 bay that held the building and an outer bay that took care of all the parking. what we're proposing to do is add a second row of parking to the easterly side of the building, remove all the parking that was on either side of the truck access. We've slightly expanded the truck turnaround here because now all the loading docks are down in this corner of the building. So we've actually snuck a couple extra here, which necessitated pushing this out just a little bit. We've also eliminated all the parking right here next to the infiltration system, and the parking that we had interspersed in between all the loading areas is now the van staging that Jessica had mentioned. We also swung this drive out just a little bit. So this outer edge is now where the edge of the parking used to be. And the reason we did that is that the vans will come into the building here, load up, and then they'll actually drive out here. So it just gives them a little bit more comfortable turn pulling out when they go to leave the site. Stormwater management facility is identical. In fact, if you recall from the original photo, it's mostly constructed. The grass is growing on it. We still have the 2-bay design with the building going into this front bay and the rest of the impervious surfaces on the site going into the rear bay. As a comparison, there's 2 colors that you'll see on this screen. You'll see an orange color and a blue color. The orange color is everywhere we're adding impervious surface, and the blue color is everywhere we're reducing it. So the site nets out at about a 750 square foot reduction in impervious surface. 153 Taylor Street, as I mentioned, is currently an existing office building, parking on the front side.
Pardon the interruption again.
Sure.
Mr. Chair, we have a continued public hearing to reopen at 8:15. We can resume this discussion as soon as we reopen that.
Okay, so we'll open and continue.
Open and continue until later in the evening. The continued public hearing for 336 and 338 King Street, Hager Homestead.
Yes.
I'm guessing what, 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah, we're, I think we're gonna sort of abbreviate this one. Why don't we say, 20, 30 minutes, we should finish with the initial presentation and maybe some questions from the board, and then we'll move on. Okay, so why don't you just tell Bruce and his group that will be with him within 20 to 30 minutes.
I think you just did.
Okay. Sorry about that, Todd.
Sorry, pardon the interruption.
Oh, no, that's fine. I'll try to get through this. 153 Taylor Street, the existing 193,000 square foot office building, parking on both sides as well as here. There's quite a bit of support structure here, chillers, storage sheds, some additional chillers here, electrical generators here on this side. So there's a lot of other ancillary structures. We've also gone out and remapped all the wetlands along this property. You can see them here. They're kind of shaded in this light blue. The wetland boundary had a very sharp distinction where off the edge of the parking lot, the embankment came down and then flattened out in the wetlands. It was probably one of the easiest delineations, if not the easiest I've ever done.
Todd, can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
When did you take this picture?
This picture we didn't take. This came off of Google Earth, and I backed it up a couple of years to get the cars in here. So this could have been 2004, 2005.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to know how recent it was.
Yeah, no, it's fairly old. So we had a series of goals with this redevelopment on this end. We wanted to shrink down the existing footprint. We also knew there was pavement within the 50-foot wetland buffer, which is more of a Conservation Commission issue, but it kind of speaks to why we got to the shape and why we got where we're at. And we also wanted to take as much back out of the 100-foot buffer as we possibly could. So we ended up taking everything out of the 50-foot wetland buffer. We took just under 12,000 additional square feet out of the 100-foot buffer, which is the blue you see here. And then the total development footprint, if you compare this one versus the other one, is about an acre smaller. So we came in pretty good there. As Jessica alluded to, and I spoke to briefly before, 3 different types of parking down here at 153 Taylor Street. We have 61 employee or associate spaces located right here. We have these 30 commuter rail spaces. This is designed such that a shuttle, an MBTA shuttle, can come around through here. We have included a shelter right there for inclement weather, and then they can go back out of the site. And then everything else that's in blue here are the delivery van spaces that we had talked about. Briefly, utilities and drainage, how that works. We just have 3 systems here. Since there is no building, there are no restrooms down here. There's no septic, no sanitary sewer. There's also no gas that will be proposed down here. We do have an electric line that we're going to run into this location here, and it will terminate from now in an electric manhole right there. The reason for that, there's 2 reasons for that. One, we do have site lighting down here that we need to power. But secondly, there is a future plan for electric vehicle charging stations. They don't have them proposed just yet because they are not in this general area. But if you noticed, if you took a look at the detailed site plans that we submitted, you'll notice these strips of concrete that run all the way up through between each of these parking bays. They kind of serve 2 purposes. You can use them as sidewalks, but what they're really there for is in the future, that's where the charging stations will be. So the conduit would run under there and the charging stations will actually be right in those concrete areas. We've also extended a new water main down in through here, excuse me, with several fire hydrants just to cover the site in case they are needed for emergencies. And then the green that you see is the stormwater management system. These dots being all the various catch basins. If you can see them, the darker green are some hydrodynamic separators to pre-treat the stormwater and remove the sediment before it enters the underground infiltration systems. We were able to achieve 100% infiltration on this site. So everything up to and including the 100-year storm, which is just under 9 inches in our model that we used for this. So there's quite a bit of capacity that we have there. The next couple of slides are really just your site plan review criteria as well as your special permit criteria. I think in the interest of trying to move this along, we can probably go through those or skip through those and then just come back to this slide, which is just, again, an overview of the site. I don't know if there's any, if you want to go to questions. If we did receive the peer review comments today, I think the vast majority of them are pretty minor in nature. There's a lot of clarifications. For example, one was wondering why we counted 168 or 138 parking spaces instead of 168. The difference is the 30. We didn't count the 30 for the commuter rail. So there's a lot of things like that. I think we also had some signage details that may be out of date, so we just have to go back and update those. So I believe that Tom Bigelow is here to talk about those kind of issues. So that's it for my quick presentation, and we can move on to either peer review or questions from the board.
I think I'd like to ask, since in an effort to speed this along, I'd like to open it up to the board first. I know Tom's there, but I think the board probably has more questions than Tom, who's just seen this for a couple of days, and we're probably gonna get back to Green with some questions on our own. So,
Mark, procedurally, I mean, considering what's coming up next, I think we should just continue this, not for any other reason than to be able to ask our questions. Otherwise,
I think we should at least some initial questions and then continue it. I agree.
I got a bunch of questions about the site, and I'm not going to get through
them. Well, I would like to spend at least 10 or 15 minutes with a couple of questions from each board member, and then we'll continue it. I think there's a few procedural things we're going to need to do before we get to the next meeting. That's why I'd at least like to ask a couple of questions. So I'd like to start, and I'd like to start with the traffic. I don't know where you got your consultant got her information about accidents on this The intersection at Route 2 is the worst intersection in the state of Massachusetts. We have an accident probably every day on that intersection. We're on the radio. Littleton is on the radio at least 3 or 4 times a week with an accident on coming off of Route 2. It's very dangerous, and I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more traffic information on it. I think we need to get out. I'd like to see an outside consultant for our start on this before our next meeting to kind of go over the traffic. I'd like to get the information from our police and fire department about the intersections, because like I said, if you listen to any of the radio stations, there's an accident on Route 2 at least a couple times a week. So to say that there's only 2 accidents in the course of a year is grossly underestimating what's going on at those intersections. So I'd like to talk to the board about at least hiring a traffic consultant to take a look at what's been presented to us first, so that we have some questions or some answers for the next meeting. That's the reason I wanted to open up. The other issue is we have some input that we got from your site in Milford, which I don't know how big this is compared to Milford. And we had the police department actually go to Milford and talk to them about the issues that they had in Milford. I'd like to at least address those so that we could speak, get some answers for that for the next meeting. So if I can figure out how to get back to Chief Plnbrd's letter, how do I do that? Why don't you let me, Jerry, if you have a question, why don't you do that while I find.
Well, I can just give you the list. I mean, just in interest of time, they don't even need to answer. But like my topics include crowdsourced drivers, queuing up in locations, putting cell phones in trees. Any plans for locker delivery? What's your estimates on future growth for the area and the site and impact? Again, these are just questions in regards to that, not necessarily concerns, but I also would double down on Mark's comments about Route 2, but not just Route 2. It's how Route 2 plays with 495. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the area, but in the summertime, we often have long lines of traffic going north and south on 495. It's not infrequent. It's actually common. Pre-COVID, during rush hour, 495's pretty much deadlocked, which hits some of your peak times. And the backup east to west on Route 2 associated with 495 is quite significant. Those hairpin turns getting onto Taylor Street are deadly. So I don't know what, I mean, 600 lots, that's a lot of traffic in that area. So I just think we just need to talk it through. I'm not saying it's a stop or anything. I'm just saying we just need to talk it through.
Can I just read into what our chief found out when he went to visit the facility in Milford? He said the van traffic in and out of the facility is nonstop 24/7, as well as the tractor trailer traffic is nonstop. He also added that the setup they have for the vans driving through one end and unloading and going out the other end, the drivers leave the facility and end up parking on the side streets to organize their trucks when they do. The police get calls for littering, drivers urinating on the side of the road and blocking travel lanes. Yeah, and that the town of Milford has had less than a stellar response from Amazon about these issues, and we should address them in advance before we approve anything. He also talked about the excise tax that you spoke about from the vans, and that they're registered to a corporation not in Milford, and that they didn't receive any remuneration for the vans being housed in Littleton, in Milford. So it sounds like you have problems in Milford, and I don't know if Milford's bigger or smaller than this, but the traffic is definitely an issue here, and I think we need to address it right away, right off the bat. And I would suggest that we hire an independent consultant to take a look at the traffic and also get our own traffic, because our police and fire respond to all those accidents on the intersection. So I think before we go any further, we at least have to have that brought into our discussion about what's going on here. as well as the fact that your proposed site over there has no restroom facilities for the people getting in and out of the vans.
If I may, and I know Ellie, sorry, am I?
Go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me? I just want to briefly address the Milford issue. It was one of our first sites. We call a legacy site. To give you an idea, we launched 150 of those legacy delivery stations over 5 years. They were not a central focus of our business. We are now seeking to launch 150 every year for the next 5 years. So honestly, we made some mistakes in Milford that we've corrected going forward. We don't, for example, have off-site parking at this facility. We do in Milford, which would explain some of the van traffic. Milford does not operate on the cycle I explained where we start after rush hour. It's operating on our old system where it was during rush hour. And finally, they are not part of our DSP 2.0 program, which is where the excise tax is paid in town. That was our DSP 1.0, so we don't own those vans. Now going forward, for these new sites, we own the vans and then lease them back. And we have been paying the excise tax in other towns we've opened up in, such as Bellingham and Holyoke, for example.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, so, yeah, if you could give us just a list of reference sites to include, that would be good.
Yeah, I want to explain, we did make some mistakes in Milford, but we have corrected them going forward and are working to. That's one of our older models. And
that's great. But I do think we need to get to the traffic right away, and I think we need to get a consultant to take a look at everything going on here. There's a lot more going on here than I think we're being told. And like I said, you want it because of the proximity to Route 2 and 495, and we'll get you a list of what actually happens from the. You hit it on the head. Those are tight intersections coming on and off the highways, and there's accidents there.
Mike, let's not focus on Milford. Get 3 or 4.
I'm talking about our own. I'm talking about bringing in a traffic consultant right away to address their traffic survey before we meet again. We need to have.
Is that in addition to the peer review that was done by Green, or?
Green's not a traffic consultant. We need to hire.
Mark, we have Green's peer review does include traffic review. You and I can take a look at that and see if that's sufficient or if you're looking for additional.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think one of Tom Bigelow, and he can speak to this, but I think one of Tom Bigelow's background strengths is traffic and transportation engineering. So that's why I thought that was also a traffic study review.
Correct.
If I can just add, related to traffic, something about Taylor Street and Foster Street. 2 points. One is to make sure to check in with the school bus schedules, because school buses around here get started pretty early. I mean, they're on the road like at 6:30, 6:40 in the morning. And if the fleets are leaving at that time, being able to make sure that the school buses' schedules aren't being impeded, because that will create some problems. And then second of all, I know that we want the traffic to flow onto the highways, but if you can consider having limitations of any of the vehicles flowing onto Foster Street, flowing south, I guess that's southeast onto Taylor Street, and minimizing that except for packages that have to be delivered over there. Because let's say, for example, if 495 or Route 2 are blocked up and vehicles need to get out, we don't want them going onto all the side streets to try to figure out a way to leave the campus. We want them to be able to figure it out through the highway system, so without going on the side routes. So that would be something else to consider. Just because Foster Street and Taylor are both, sensitive residential areas.
All right. So
If you can do that.
does anyone on the board have any other questions right now, or?
I have a few comments. I don't need answers. I would like to know more about the site lighting with specific, exactly how you're going to do it. It's just a massive area. I'm like you, Mark. I'm sort of concerned about the condition of the big parking area. I think restrooms is interesting. I'd like to hear about that. I'd like to hear about if there's going to be any landscaping on this gigantic paved area. I don't quite understand if people are walking along the access road to the warehouse, if there'll be shuttles provided. And I would like to know more about the commuter overflow parking. I don't really understand how that works, but we don't need to go into it at this meeting. I'm sure we'll be able to, hash it out.
Okay, Delisa, do you have any?
I think everybody has pretty much covered my questions and concerns, so no.
All right, so since we have Tom here, why don't we, since Tom's been quietly sitting, why don't we give Tom a couple of minutes and then we'll continue this till November. How's that?
Yes, thank you. And I do have Jim Thorne here as well, who you met previously, and Corinne Tobias, who is our traffic in our transportation planning group, who is heading up the traffic peer review. And maybe I can turn it over to Corinne briefly, because I think traffic is probably the biggest concern here. She can talk about maybe some of our larger comments. But one thing I do want to clarify about the peer review comments we provided so far, these are just our initial peer review comments. For this site, we've done a kind of a preliminary peer review to just flush out some larger, bigger picture comments and make sure that what the town's been given for submittal is complete and that there aren't additional documentations that we're looking for. So we haven't done our full detailed drilled down peer review yet. That was a discussion that we had with Maren as we decided how to navigate this particular peer review. So I just want to clarify that we will have additional comments both on the stormwater and site design, but also the traffic design as we move forward. So,
all right, so why don't we continue this till November 5th? Maren?
Yeah, that would be the next meeting. Just
Put 'em up
because it's up front, okay. 6:45. So 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
And,
I
yeah,
don't think,
what are you going to schedule time-wise?
an hour
I think we need an hour.
at,
Oh, yeah.
at least, yeah.
Okay.
And Tom, I will get together with Myron to look at your traffic stuff, and we will get back to you.
Do you want to check for any other input?
Yeah, is anybody have their hands up?
I happen to see one hand up, Dan Holmes, but that, I think Dan is part of the application team.
Here, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that the Zoom application response when you tried to log in was that the host had locked the meeting. So that just might help you avoid the issue coming next time.
Oh, okay. And we don't know why that happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right. That's my tech comment for the evening.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we'll continue until 7 o'clock on November 5th. And I get a motion to continue this till November 5th at 7 o'clock.
I'll make a motion to continue to November 5th at 7 o'clock.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Delisa?
Aye.
Anna?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Jeff? Jeff?
Anyone?
Oh, all right. And I'm an aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we have 7:40. Oh, what time? What time is the next one?
It's way over, dude.
Yeah, about an hour ago. Yeah.
Not that bad.
Not that bad.
So we've 8:15 is when we had slid this one in. So.
Oh, goodness. Hello. Yep.
Yes.
Do you want to give Jerry a moment?
Okay. Is everybody here? Are we waiting for everybody to get on?
I think most of the application team is here. Several interested residents are here.
Okay.
I think Jerry may have disappeared. And actually, we have the discussion on street acceptances was scheduled for 8:45. It's clear that we're not going to make an 8:45 for that discussion. Several people are waiting for that who are on the call. How much time do we?
Yeah, it's 5 minutes to 9. Yeah, let's open up with Hager, and we'll have to probably push the acceptance after that.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to kind of guess how much time to tell people to check back.
Why don't you give us a half hour with Hager?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
All the board members are present?
Everybody's here?
Yep.
Okay. Do we have a brief presentation?
I think Bruce is prepared to start.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. Douglas DeShane representing Masco Housing. I'd like to thank the board for their continued consideration of this project. And I will start by assuring the board that we are here tonight to present new information and that my clients have worked incredibly hard to address the board's questions and issues from the last hearing, but we propose to do so in a very quick and efficient manner. So we are going to present effectively three topics tonight. First, we would like to present our new architectural design, and Sheldon Penyoyo will be doing that. And then Mr. Ringwald has a very quick one-slide presentation on open space. And then Mr. Blackham will provide you a quick overview of our latest affordable housing unit proposal. So without delay, I'd like to pass things over to Sheldon to present our new architectural design.
Good evening, members of the board and chairman. I would like to share with you tonight the new site plan, which Bruce will share. In this new site plan, we were trying to address the concerns that the board had, and that just went away. I don't know why the screen share went away. Bruce, if you can bring it back. In this new site design, you will see that we have shortened the building on the street edge, which is a concern of some of the members of the board. And by doing that, we consolidated the building and pushed it 45 feet shorter than it was in the previous design. I would like to mention that while it is 45 feet shorter, it is worth noting that this is less advantageous to the community that it's being designed for, because the green shifts back here between the parking lot, King Street, and it eliminates it from where it was before in this area. That said, I would like to go to the next slide, which shows the new presentation of the building on King Street. What we've done, because we've shortened it, is we've created more of the sort of desire for the code-based form and the big house, little house, outhouse, barn architecture. And you can see that in the plan above, it consolidates the plan and makes it more of a double-loaded corridor project. But this is as it's seen from the street. The next slide shows the configuration of the building on the site with the street, the church, the existing building that remains, and of course the federal style building. So the new wing is everything over this way. And the last image is what exists overlaid with what is being proposed. And of course, it shows the dental wing. In this area, it shows the existing barn, and then it shows what we call the retained unit and the fence that exists now. So I think with that, because we're really short on time, I'd like to wrap that up as our presentation for the new building design that we're sharing with you tonight. And I'll pass it off to Bruce.
Good evening. Our open space is shifted where now the open space green is, as Sheldon said, to the east of the multifamily building. What it's done is it's given us a little bit more of upland space because we've condensed our building down into a solid block. So instead of having with our 20% required open wetland at 90.91 acres and our required upland contiguous open space at 3.64, we've added up a little bit now, so we're at 3.78. We just get a little bit more. Again, we have another 0.7 acres of upland area that's contiguous when you're out there walking, but it does have little tiny pieces of wetland in between, but the mowed trails that exist and all those other spaces are there. So that raises us up into the 4.5 acre position. And that's all I have for right now. And I turn it over to Matthew.
Great, thank you. We're proposing to sell 10 units or 40% of the units at prices calculated at 60 to 150% of AMI. However, of those 10 units, we're proposing that 8 be designated as affordable, income verified, and deed restricted units. The other 2 units we're proposed to sell as traditional market units, however, at prices that are set to meet the 150% AMI threshold. If you can change slides, Bruce. We're proposing 2 80%, 2 100%, 420%, and 250%. That's 6 1-bedrooms and 2 4-bedrooms in total. We're not able to include the additional 2 units as traditional affordable units due to construction loan financing covenants related to the pre-sale requirements and the lender's risk assessments associated with the discount on the affordable unit revenue. But we wanted to make a significant stride towards obtaining the board's approval of this project. We felt that adding these and adding a condition that would require the applicant to sell those 2 additional market rate units would substantially advance our proposal and increase the number from 33 all the way up to 40% of the units. That's all.
Hey, anyone else, Doug, or is it ours now?
Doug, you're muted.
Are you good with your team, and can I turn it over to my team?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are good and we're prepared to answer any questions the board might have.
Okay. I think I'm going to start first. I spoke with Bruce after receiving a letter from the Council on Aging. I know that you made a presentation to them, and although they liked the project, they didn't want to support it because they didn't feel that it would be available to most residents in the town of Littleton. They wanted to see a 40% affordability component to it, and Bruce and I spoke about it, and I told them that I would really like to try to get to where the Council on Aging was, to the 40%, something close to the 40%. That if, and I felt that if they could do something like that, that I would be more in favor of it because it's what the Council on Aging was requesting, and I am pleased that they have listened to what we had to say and have come back to us tonight with that. Also, aesthetically, I think by turning the building, it makes the footprint smaller, makes it look more like what's there now. So I'm pleased that I think they listened. They took what we had to say and listened to us. And I think 40% is a nice. I have to agree with something that Jeff had said earlier. It is a smaller project. I know they're trying the best they can to get to what the intent of the bylaw, and I think this is a great step forward. And I'll turn it over to the rest of the board, see what they think about the new proposal. So, Anna, do you want to start? You're muted.
Now I'm not. There you go. Well, considering this is the first time we've seen it, I'm just considering it right now. So how about you go on to others?
All right. Want me to go to Jerry? Jerry, what do you think?
I mean, affordable's good. I'm not thrilled about the frontage. I mean, let's see what the Historical Society says.
The Historical Society, if I may, Chair wrote in an email saying that he liked this change to the plan and that we had addressed the things that he said, but he was speaking on his own as they haven't had a meeting. And I will remind you all, we're not in the historic district, but we're trying very hard to address the conditions and the comments from them.
Okay. Delisa, your thoughts on what you've seen tonight? You're muted again.
No, I think, as always, the applicant has listened to the board and made a great attempt to address member concerns. So I applaud you on your continued flexibility and your willingness to continue working through, I know, what has been very difficult for you. So, you know, I'm very pleased at the increased affordability. I think 40% is, I mean, heck, it's a lot more than we've gotten from any other of the senior development. So.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, are you
So
there?
I think I want to concur with previous comments that there's been a lot of adjustments of the proponent's thinking, which I would like to encourage. I think the shortening of the building is good, and it's good for, I don't know what was in the mind originally, but I think the double loaded corridors are more safe and usable than the open balconies. So that, I think, is a good thing. I think that the massing of the building has more closely conforms with the ideas of the form-based code, with the shed dormer, and that's good. I'm skeptical about the parking. I don't know how they're going to distribute it. I would imagine that the parking to the left of the building is for the apartment styles, because the other parking is sort of far. I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this parking before, and I think that's your decision as long as the parking spots are provided. So in terms of affordability, I think it's this is a small project. It's quite a burden to place on this project, which you're trying to shoulder. And that should be encouraged. I would like to see, and I don't know if this is feasible, I'd like to see one unit at 60%. It makes a big gesture toward true affordability. But other than that, and I also do understand that, well, I think there's a lot of complications with the co-housing and the affordables and how they're distributed, et cetera, but we can go into that at some other time. But in general, this is progress.
Okay. Anna, do you want to, how they've had?
Sure. So real quick on the design, as others have said, thank you very much for taking a look at what we offer here in Littleton and trying to be a part of that same character. It makes a difference. Good to see the windows also reflect the federal house. So thank you. Really appreciate all that effort and what you've come up with. So in reference to the wetlands, one of the discussions that I've had with Marin is it relates to the amount of the wetlands, and that by doing the math, the amount of the wetlands is 8 to 9 times what it technically should be, and that there could perhaps be an alternative to split the property and donate that piece to the town. So the reason for making that kind of a request is I really don't want to see us set precedents that the town accepts a property with X number more amount of wetlands than what we would want. Because if we make it in this particular case, then somebody down the road is going to say, well, you did it there. So that would be one thing on the wetlands.
I don't follow that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
If I may, I think you and I misunderstood each other on that point. The bylaw does reference the minimum open space and the amount of wetland area that can be in the minimum open space. I understand you're looking at the overall site, but the bylaw doesn't address the overall site. It addresses the minimum open space.
Well, because I want to actually work through the math on this, we can do it now or we can do it later. So I actually wanted to go into the affordable housing, or the affordable numbers that were presented, and then come back to that if it's appropriate. Would that be okay, Marin?
Sure.
Okay. So I just want to remind everyone that where we're coming from on this particular senior residential bylaw was that in fall of 2018, we did amend it. And that's where we decided as a town to say that for senior residential developments, we would start at 50% and maybe go down from that. So recognizing that the applicant is trying very hard to make this work, that 40% at 10 units, okay, good. But I do agree that 60% AMI is part of that criteria also, that the bylaw specifies that it shall start at 60% and could go up to 150%. And I hear that the applicant has financial constraints that perhaps could prohibit that. But that's not in our purview. I mean, our purview is to try to follow the bylaw to the greatest extent possible. And right now, we don't see anything at 60%, and that's concerning.
Dare respond to that?
Go ahead.
You know, first of all, there's nothing specific about this project that is precluding the 50%. General economic feasibility is what's preventing us from getting to 50%, and that's not attributed to a co-housing project, and it's not attributed to our specific design. It's attributed to the general economics of construction and development. What's been put forth here, I can tell you, is extremely aggressive. And the only reason that we're able to be this aggressive is because there's no entrepreneurial profit for the developer. It's a sponsored deal by the co-housing group. And absent that market sort of interference, which is an advantage for this particular project in the advancement of the affordable proposal, I don't think you're going to get anything close to 40% from any other project that comes before the board. We've studied this 100 different ways to try to figure out how we could make it work by taking various elements out of our proposal to meet a 50% number, and it just can't happen. And when I look at it as an independent developer to try to come up with a scheme to make this work, not only for you as a planning board, but for the group, I can't come up with one. There isn't another bylaw in the state of Massachusetts that comes close to 40 or 50%. And to have that expectation of a private developer is unrealistic. But to take that one step further, if your goal is truly to have senior residential housing in Littleton, 40% is a huge step in that direction. It's affordable senior housing, and you're getting 24 units of senior housing. If you're going to hold developers to 50%, I can tell you, you're not going to see many projects come before you, and I don't think there's any that are going to be economically feasible. It's going to require government intervention, incentives, or free land in order for that to happen. And the realistic probability of those things coming together for a project to advance in Littleton is very, very slim.
Can I interrupt right there? I think what Jeff is asking, what Anna is asking, can you just take one of those 10 units at 40% and put it at 60% AMI? That's all they're asking. I think they're happy at 40%. We would just like to see one at the bottom and work its way up to the 150. That's all we're asking. One of those units, one of those 10 to be at 60%.
To do that, we would have to move one of the other ones from a lower bracket to a higher. And if the planning board was comfortable with that, we could do that.
Well, I think you need to show it to us. So, I noticed that Mary Hunt is here, and I'd like to. She's been at all the meetings for the past 6 or 7 years with the Council on Aging, and I see her. And I know it's been great for her to stay up and wait for this. So, if Mary, do you have anything that you want to add to this? You talked to us on the last one, and we heard you, and I'd like to see what you think about the new proposal that's before us now.
Well, when we talked about it at the Council of Aging the other day, I know Marge sent a letter, but I haven't seen the letter. We talked about proving the concept of the project and co-housing, but we really didn't say it was affordable as a council. We wanted, I'm sorry, I don't have the letter in front of me that Marge sent.
I do actually. So if you want me to read it, I'd be happy to read it for you.
I thought she said something. I thought we had agreed to support the concept of the co-housing project in compliance with the bylaw of the town.
She did, and she really would have liked to have gotten to 50%, but in her email she said to us that if we got to 40%, that she thought that was probably a good first step for the first one coming before us. So I don't think it's realistic to try to get to 50, as Jeff said, on a small project like this. But if we could get at 40 and maybe have one at 60 and re-skew the rest of them, I think we've gotten probably as far as we can with this.
I mean, those, if the folks on the board who have known me and have been going to these meetings for a number of years, affordability is a big thing for us.
Right.
I can't sit here and say that it's affordable for a lot of people in town. I can't. I think the concept is wonderful. I'm still concerned about the cost, yes. And I do understand where the builder is coming from and the marketplace.
Okay, well, so maybe we should come back and see if we get more at 60%. Make it more affordable for seniors.
More at 60%. What's the number that would make it affordable for Littleton?
We were told that the number was get us to 40%. We've done that.
We're talking price-wise.
No, yeah, not the ratio, just the units themselves, the AMI.
I don't understand, Jerry.
Marin's going to tell us. She's looking at it right now.
I can't give you a number because I don't know. I don't know a number.
Yep. The one that I have those available for that the developer gave to us. 1 bedrooms at 60%, the sales price would be $151,300. If we use this year's calculations, 2 bedroom at 60% would be just under $170,000. One bedroom, 80% is $205,000. One bedroom at 100% is $273,000. One bedroom at 120 is $338,000. And then they also referenced the 150% AMI, which would not be, well, they explained that, but that's currently just under $435,000.
Oh, that's helpful.
It'd be great if we could get a copy of a chart like that. Do you have that, Maren?
Yes, I do. I can send that.
Okay.
It's online too. It's been
to me, then I can share it at my with my subcommittee, and
Yep.
That would be
good. And then we could get back maybe with a follow-up to Marge's letter.
That would be great. But in the meantime, Bruce, can you try to get us one at 60? Figure a way how to get.
Well, you and I had some conversations, Mark, about some of the other committees funding, and that would definitely help put us there.
Well, that's Bruce. That would probably be after the fact. We're looking to see how this stands on its own legs, and if you could figure out a way to get one of those units at 60% and all the way up to 150, I think the board would be more comfortable with it. I'm not speaking for the whole board. I'm just, you've heard Anna. She'd like to see one at 60. You heard Jeff. He'd like to see one at 60. So you've done a great job coming here. Can we just get it over the finish line, as they say?
Hang on one second.
I have faith in you. You don't have to do it right this second.
Well, we do.
I didn't know you were good with math, Bruce.
I do to try.
Anyone else have any questions about Bruce?
So,
what?
There are a couple things that we'd like to do. There's a bunch of public input that we'd like to get into the record. If we go forward here, if we can make this happen, if we can get one at 60, one at 80, one at 100, 5 at 120, and the 2 at 150.
5 at 120, 2 at 150. So 4. Can you say that one more time?
1 at 60, 1 at 80, 1 at 100, 5 at 120, and 2 at 150. And all the discussions I had with everybody was no more than 2 at 150. We've definitely, we've held with that. Everybody that I talked to previously, when I've been trying to make this, and us as a team have been trying to make this work, we were talking about, 2 at 80. And now in the 11th hour, we're getting a 60% thrown in on us. We had discussions.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Ringwald. I'm sorry, but the bylaw is what the bylaw is.
The bylaw says yes from 6.
Can you please not interrupt me? I would love to be able to work this through. I really would. But please don't minimize what the bylaw says, okay? The bylaw very specifically talks about that we shall have from 60% to 150%. This isn't something that we're just throwing out there at the 11th hour. This has been there from day one. Please don't minimize that.
I'm not minimizing that, and I 100% agree with you. But in all the discussions that I've had with individual board members and the groups, we haven't had one at 60% since the very beginning. And then when they ask for more and more units, we have had to make adjustments. So we're just trying. We've been trying to work with this all the way along. We think that we still have a good project here. We're doing the best we can.
All right, well, give it, and back to Anna's point, everyone else's, we need to see one at 60. However you want to reconfigure it, we'd like to see one at 60. Okay?
I think we're there. I think we can do one at 60, one at 80, one at 100, 5 at 120, and 2 at 150.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the bottom line to it is that if we do that, it's 1 and 1. So we're still getting a lot of units, more than half of those units above 100% AMI, right? And as we all know, those really aren't affordable still to some of our seniors. So please go back and reconsider those numbers, because I don't think we're going to be able to give you an answer tonight.
Well, what I can tell you is that the project cost realities are driving it. We've been as flexible as we could. We've made as many modifications to this as we can. I respectfully disagree with your interpretation of the bylaw. I think it's very clear that the planning board has discretion within the range between 60 and 150%, and not that a single unit needs to be at that level, nor does it state that 50% has to be given. I do appreciate and a big supporter myself of affordable housing. I think it's a really important part of every community. In fact, my wife moved here from Indiana and was part of the 40B program here in Massachusetts. So I value it and have tried very, very hard to make this work. I can tell you that there are cost realities and financial realities that we have to deal with, and we have stressed those to the absolute max this evening to try to put this proposal in front of you and to obtain a favorable vote. Candidly, we are under timeline pressure. We do have a purchase and sale agreement that is due to expire, and we cannot control, nor can any other applicant control, the realities of project cost. This particular project is a very, very low density use. We're 1.6 units per acre. We're 8 units per acre on the disturbed site. For any project to even have a remote chance of coming to the 40% level that we're offering this evening, with entrepreneurial profit and something that's not being financed by a private group, it's going to be a significantly more dense project that would take up a significant greater portion of the site. Will have to be 4-story construction and will look nothing like the architecture that we've proposed here. I shared an economic study and cost analysis that included two project comps of other senior residential developments that are being built in Massachusetts by reputable national builders. And they're producing units with 0% affordability starting at $380,000. Again, that product is 4-story. I think anybody reviewing it will tell you, including yourselves, that the product that we're proposing is much higher quality, both the materials as well as the appearance of our product. But you're stressing a project to a point that it's going to sink, and it's a shame because what sinks along with the project are the 10 affordable housing units that you fought so hard to get, and we've worked so hard to give. And I don't see it happening with any other project. I don't think that you walk away from this and the next project that comes through is going to be able to give you even close to what we've offered. We can give a 60, we can give an 80, we can give 2 100s. I want to remind you that most projects in Massachusetts have 10%. And those that have 25% under Mass Statute 40B have a significant density far in excess of what we've proposed and far in excess of what the underlying bylaw allows. And we're here this evening with 40%, which is a substantial subsidy in excess of $1.2 million. You're asking us to add additional cost to that subsidy, and it's going to render the project non-feasible. So we have flexibility within the range of the units that we have, but we don't have flexibility within the total subsidy. The project just won't make. We've done everything we can to meet your architectural needs. We're doing everything we can to meet the affordable housing needs. And every one of us on our team, the Middlesex Senior Co-Housing Group, all are passionate about providing affordable housing. But this project and any project has its limits. And I believe that this project has done more and will do more than any other project that comes before you as a board under the Senior Residential Development Bylaw.
All right. Can I just make one suggestion? Maybe why don't we take the 1-bedroom that's at 120 right now, put it at 100, and take the 20% off that and put the first 1-bedroom at 60. And we're all where we want to be. So you have one at 60, one at 80, 1, 2, 3 at 100, 3 at 120, and 2 at 150. Is that asking too much? You're taking 20% off of a one bedroom and making the first one bedroom 60. With that? Then we have our 60, we have 80, we have 100, we have 120, and 150. It's a one bedroom.
Well, no, because you've taken 20% off of 2 units in doing that.
We're taking 20% off of one unit and putting it on and taking it off the other unit. Put that one at 100. It's a one bedroom. And that's what we're asking you for, a one bedroom at 60%.
Right, so you're taking 40% off, Mark. You're doing 2 different units.
We're putting one at 100, one bedroom back to 100. Okay.
From 120.
And then or either that or take the other 2 bedroom that's at 100, make that another one bedroom, and give us the 20% on another one bedroom. If that would make it easier, I'm just trying to get one of those units back down to 60.
We set you one at 60, and we set you one at 80, and we set you one at 100, and we have 5 at 120 and 2 at 150. And you're asking that we go to 3 at 120 and 2 at 100 and 2 at 80 and 1 at 60. So you're jumping down all the way down 40%.
Yeah,
I don't quite see it like that, but I'm saying give us another one bedroom. Take a 2 bedroom out of the mix and give us another one bedroom and drop it down to 60. Just
He's
have
getting
one
the
at
20,
80.
he's getting the 20% from one of the 80s, Bruce.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Take that second 2 bedroom that's at 80 and make it a 1 bedroom and put it at 60. 1 bedroom, 1 bedroom, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 1 bedroom, 1 bedroom.
So what I heard you say, Mark, was a 1 bedroom at 60, a 1 bedroom at 80.
Yep.
A 1 bedroom at 100.
Correct.
A 2 bedroom at 100.
Mm-hmm. A 1 bedroom at 120, a 2 bedroom at 120, a 1 bedroom at 120, and another 2 bedroom at 120. I'm asking you to add one more 1 bedroom and put it down at 60. That's all. Take the 2 bedroom out of there and make it a 1 bedroom and put it at 60. That's all I'm asking you to do. Leave the rest of it just the way it is.
So you're keeping the rest of the way they are.
Yep.
Yeah. Mark, I think that's sort of an interesting point that 1 bedrooms are more affordable than 2 bedrooms.
They should be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, get rid of the.
I mean, that's a way to force out the affordability.
We understand that you're probably stretching as much as you can. Take the 2 bedroom out of there and make it a 1 bedroom and put it at 60.
Hold on, give me one minute if you could.
I misinterpreted you before, Mark. I think I understand what you're saying now.
Okay. So the first 3 are going to be 1 bedrooms. And then leave the rest of it after that. Just the way it is.
Just the way it is.
Yep.
So it's a 60, an 80, 100, all 1 bedrooms, a 2 bedroom at 100, 120, 120, 120, 120, 150, 150.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay. We'll figure it out, but okay.
All right. Does anyone else have any? Jerry, you have any questions?
No, but you're running out of time.
Okay.
So
I want to make one
out of here in
comment
3 minutes.
I want to make one comment about there were many letters of support for this project that came into the planning board.
Yeah, I wanted Mr. Montanari to request that the letters, either you ask for public comment and if those don't bring the letters in, if we could have the letters of support read into the record. Because many of them are from Littleton seniors.
Yes.
Yeah, just process-wise, they are already part of the public record. There's no need to read them at the hearing. They are posted to the project website and the planning board members have seen them.
Okay. So I'm trying to get you an idea where we're coming from. We're not ready we're not ready to close this because there's still some issues we have, but I'd like you to have
What
an idea.
issues?
What are the issues?
We'd like to know
Mark, what are the issues? I'd like to know what the issues are. Because to me, they have responded every single time. They have addressed every issue we have asked.
Okay.
So what are the outstanding issues here?
I just want to make sure that we figure out what the disposition or what we're going to do with the open space.
Well, your bylaw is very clear on that the open space gets conservation restriction to the town of Littleton. And we've talked with the Conservation Commission about that, and they understand that.
Okay.
Well, actually, they had a lot of questions about the conservation restriction because there really hasn't been firm discussion around it. So let me say this. I understand. I've been in your shoes before with a project, okay? I understand you're under the gun. But based on the numbers that we just talked about, I think you have a very strong leaning to wanting to get this project accomplished, okay? There are other issues that need to be addressed, as Mark alluded to, in terms of the open space, in terms of the CR, making sure that everything is in check with the actual units, because now we need to see all the details in the units, understanding the HOA, the sewer connection, talk about the deed restriction, making sure that other issues have been addressed. I know people have asked about a wall, how will the barn be reassembled? And I mean, there's just lots of other littler questions. And on top of that, there are, I think I remember 50 some items in the peer review. So we are in, so we are not in a position to close the hearing and take a vote tonight. I do not believe we are because of all of these. And so as a result, I think what you have from my perspective is if those numbers work, then we can continue to work together to make this happen.
What I'm trying to get to is a consensus by the board that we like what we've seen tonight. We want to move forward to close it and vote it on our next meeting, as long as all the conditions and everything we have a nice, neat package all done. I would poll the board for you to get an idea where everyone's coming from with this new proposal, so you know where we're coming from, so that you have an idea of what's going on, because I know you're under a constraint about buying the property. I don't think we're 100% there. Let me put it this way. I don't think you're going to get everybody to agree that everything's 100% set, that we should close it. I'd rather get an idea where all the 5 board members are, move along and close it and finish it for the next meeting.
Well, we may not be at 100%, but we're all clearly at things that can just be set as conditions, and we've been done as conditions a gazillion times on other projects in the past. I mean, Anna's asking about what the units look like. We don't have anything in there that talks about what the units look like at all. There's no requirement for interior architecture. End of story. It's the outside.
I have to concur with that, Anna. I don't think that it's our purview to look at toilet locations, and that's not what the planning board does.
Well, but we don't even know sizes. Okay.
We know sizes. We've given you sizes. We've given you architectural plans.
All right, Bruce, let me do it this way. Jerry, are you ready to close and vote?
Oh, yeah. Let's close and vote.
Delisa? Are you ready to close and vote?
Delisa, you're muted.
Delisa, are you still there?
She was nodding her head, but now she's gone. Oh, now she's back.
No, she's back.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm ready to vote.
Yes?
Yep.
I just want to verify these numbers again. What are these numbers? Would you go over them, Mark? And if they're
listen, I'm out of time, you guys. Like I'm going to sign off this meeting in like 30 seconds. So either continue this or let's vote.
Okay, so let's make sure we got the numbers right. Bruce, you want to put that screen back up?
Bet.
Uh,
Okay, we're gonna have one bedroom, and Matthew, make sure I get this right. We're gonna have one bedroom at 60, one bedroom at 80, now I got lost here.
One bedroom at 100.
One bedroom at 100, one two bedroom at 100, two one bedrooms at 120, two bedrooms at 120, and 2 units at 150.
Yeah.
That are 1 bedrooms.
Okay,
Are we all good with that?
I'm ready. I'm ready to close and vote.
Okay. So then I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. If anyone wants to second that.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, Delisa,
Yes, I am.
Jeff,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Anna?
No.
Okay. And I'm in favor of it. Subject to all the little details getting taken care of, and we have a nice, neat package that we can sign. And I'm going to ask for a vote now. So all those in favor of Hager Homestead with the building redesigned and the 40% affordable with the 60 to 150% AMI, signify by saying yes. Delisa?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jerry? Jerry?
I don't know yet.
What? Yeah. What do you mean you don't know yet?
Yeah.
Anna?
No, because we didn't have an opportunity to continue hearing the rest of the information. Thank you.
And I'm going to vote yes. So, all right. So we're going to get all the details finalized with the conditions of approval. And we will revisit this in a month's time with a nice, neat package with everything done. No surprises. Town council's going to look it over. You're going to get us a rough draft of it. And Myron will send it to town council. We'll get conservation's input into it, and we'll figure out what we're doing with how we're going to deal with the open space, whether it's a donation. I would assume it's probably going to be a donation to the probably the town of Littleton, since
No, it'd be retained, maintained, and owned by the association, but the restriction goes to the town of Littleton. That's what your bylaw says.
Okay, so you'll get everything over to Myron, and Myron will send it off to town council. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So we'll put you on for November 5th at Myron, what time?
We could do this one at 8 o'clock for that discussion.
Okay. 8 o'clock on November 5th.
Thank you very much for your time, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right. So we have road acceptance now. Is that all we have left?
There you go.
It is. Let's see. So we have street acceptances. The first one on the list is Edward Drive. That's also known as Bennett Orchard.
Okay. Do we have any outstanding issues that we need to discuss, or is Bennett okay, ready for sending off to the selectmen?
Okay, the Conservation Commission's letter from yesterday said that they were good with Edward Drive. There were no issues. Tom Bigelow is stuck with us. He's prepared to weigh in on each one of these as well. There's one repair in the street accessing the site that the developer is prepared to do, just not been able to have it done yet. The town holds $88,000 in bond, and we can ask the developer to do that before we release the rest of the bond.
Okay.
At Edward Drive, I've been very impressed with the quality of the work out there on the subdivision infrastructure. There's at least one neighbor that's concerned about the lack of a dry well on the gutters on the front of his house. Mr. DeCarolis has agreed to, oh, I see that Peter's with us. He has agreed to make that repair at the dry well. Has that scheduled. I believe that they're waiting for dig safe before they can do that work.
Okay.
Those are the issues.
You're good with it?
Yes, we've been out there a number of times over the last month or so. We've reviewed the as-builts. We had some comments on those. The developer's engineer has addressed those, revised some easements. We are expecting at least one revised plan to show an easement for the Littleton Electric Department's conduit. That's on the outside of the sidewalk. But other than that, in the repair on Wickham Ave that Maren noted, they've addressed all the punch list items as well.
Okay, thank you. So we're good with that one. Do you want to vote them one at a time, Maren?
Works for me.
Yep.
So all those in favor of the acceptance of, what's it called? Edwards?
Edward Drive, you're providing a recommendation to the select board's public hearing. It's Monday night.
All those in favor of sending an affirmative to the selectmen for town acceptance? Delisa? Yes? Yeah, I think that was a
I'm
yes.
sorry about that. Yes.
All right. Jeff, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Jerry, are you still there? Or did you leave?
Jerry's not at the meeting.
Oh, all right. Anna?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. We got that one out of the way. Next.
Okay, the next one on the list is Chestnut Lane. This one has been the one that's going on for the longest. Colby Field has taken ownership of the roadway parcel and done a very good job of the work. There are, we believe that there's an easement issue remaining. The letter from the Conservation Commission just said mowing and removal of debris from the detention basin, and reference to the wetland creation area and the cross culvert that needs to be repaired. Both of those items are related to the shared residential driveway.
So not part of the regular road.
Correct.
After. So as far as the roadway goes, Tom, are you good with Chestnut?
Yeah, the work that's been completed so far this year by Colby, we haven't really had any issues with that. They did the paving, that all looked good. He's made the repairs to the drainage that we had talked about, and also CCTV the lines to our satisfaction, and DPW's as well. There's some construction debris cleanup, some cleanup around the guardrail, some loaming and seeding that's still needed as of our last site visit out there. But that's all work that we expect the developer will be able to complete. I've seen 2 rounds of as-builts. We still do have some outstanding comments, but their engineer is also revising those to reflect those comments. As Maren noted, there are 2 easements that are needed. The work before Mr. Field was involved with the project, there was some drainage that was installed outside of the right-of-way, so the engineer is working to get those easements developed. And I do just want to note that the as-built survey showed that the detention basin does not have the designed volume, the as-built compared to the design volume, but there are anecdotally no known issues of flooding out there. but it is off by a couple thousand cubic feet as far as storage volume goes. So I just wanted to note that to the board as well.
Okay. So you would suggest that we approve it, send it off to the selectmen?
Yes, as far as construction goes and everything we've seen so far, it looks like it is in heading that direction. Yep.
Okay. So,
So if I may ask, Tom, so what's kind of like the last minute check to make sure it really is done by town meeting?
Let's see here. Town meeting is on the 11th. Is that correct?
17th.
17th. I'm sorry. So we can still go out there and check to make sure the construction punch list items are completed and report back to Maren on that. And last I heard from the engineer, as far as the as-builts were concerned, I think they were planning on getting them updated this week. So we will also be able to review those as well and report back to Maren that they're satisfactorily addressed.
Yeah, I think that would be fabulous for all of these actually that are still sort of in progress and making sure that
So in answer to your question, Anna, we could still pull this at the town meeting floor.
Yeah.
If it's not done. So we send it off to the selectmen with our endorsement. They put it on the warrant, and then if everything's been done and taken care of, we vote it affirmatively at town meeting. Okay. So we good with that? So I'll entertain a motion to approve Chestnut to send to the selectmen for consideration for town meeting vote on the 17th. Someone want to second that?
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor, Delisa, try to
Yes.
stick with us. Jeffrey,
Yes.
Anna,
yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, next.
Okay, next you have the Cooper Farm Estates. It's Cooper Farm Lane, Vint Lane, and Field Lane. Conservation Commission does have some concerns on the status of detention basin 3 and 4, as well as the stabilization of the bike trail / pedestrian trail, which has been eroding into the buffer zone. The basin's functions are integral to roadway operation. Tom, help me recall which of those two basins is directly related to Dean Lane and the others are related to?
Basin 4 is directly related to Dean Lane. Basin 3 is directly related to Cooper Farm Lane.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe they're both within a town drainage easement.
Correct. So one solution could be just to hold the bond until that work is completed at a future date. It's certainly not as clean a process, but it allows the road to be accepted at town meeting.
What is the amount of the bond?
I'll look that up.
Well, I'm just wondering, is it sufficient to?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Tom, did we have anything else on Cooper?
No, I think that was the main concern there, both basin 3 and 4. 4 is holding water and 3 certainly needs cleaning, especially of sediment. There were some minor items, punch list items that the applicant responded to, and we have reviewed the as-built on that one as well. Everything's been addressed satisfactorily on that end, and I believe the town was just waiting for one of the plans to be stamped by the engineer. But other than that, from a punch list item, other than the basins and conservation's comments as well, those were the 2 outstanding items.
So Tom, are you ready to have us send this?
Yeah, to answer Jeff's, I'm sorry, to answer Jeff's questions, the town currently holds a tri-party agreement bond in the amount of $40,000.
So that's significant enough to compel them to do this work.
Tom?
Yeah, I think that is certainly, if the town needed to do it, that should be enough to reconstruct those 2 basins. But I definitely would recommend holding on to that until they've completed that work.
So would you recommend us sending this to the selectmen for consideration for town meeting on October 17th?
Yes, that is, they've addressed all the other comments and that aside, yes.
Okay, great. So then I'll entertain a motion to accept Dean and what was the other one? To send Dean and,
Yep, Cooper Farm Lane, Vint Lane, Field Lane.
okay, to the selectmen for consideration for a town acceptance on October 17th. All those in favor? Delisa, are you in favor?
Yes.
I think that was a yes.
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. We're flying. Any more left? I've got half the town.
No, I think Joe's been waiting for quite a while. Durkee and K. It's Balsam Lane, Fraser Street, Spruce Street, Fir Lane, Red Cedar Way, Douglas Road, part of Douglas Road anyway, and Cypress Lane. Tom and Joe, it's all yours.
Joe, if you
Where are
want
we at with this?
Oh, okay, yeah. So we've reviewed the as-built for both of these, all of Durkee Farm, and of course there's most of K Estates. There's a portion that is not being asked to be accepted. That's at least my understanding. As far as construction on Durkee Farm, most of all the punch list items we've had have been addressed. There's some silt fence and some minor shoulder repair, and I believe the striping that still needs to be completed on Durkee Farm, but we expect the developer is going to be able to complete that. On K Estates, do want to know on lots 35 and 36, there is still some ongoing house construction. As of our last site visit, there was a piece of sidewalk that still needs to be completed or at least finished off a top course at lot 52. And there is sediment present at the bottom of infiltration basins 701 and 500, which are both part of K. So we recommended those be cleaned. They also didn't appear to be properly vegetated. I know a lot of that work on K Estates, some of the top course and finished loam and seeding was completed this year, so it didn't look like all of it had taken as of the time of our last site visit. So those are our kind of comments on those and those being addressed prior to the street acceptance.
And you're good with us recommending this?
If those can be addressed, yes, we'd be.
Okay, and how much money are we still holding with it, Maren? Plenty of it, right?
Yeah, I'll have to find that.
If I recall, I don't know specific dollars, but I don't think there's too much left on the portions that are being accepted.
Mhm.
But there is
That's right.
probably $150,000 to $200,000 being held on the remainder of Douglas. But I don't have specific numbers right in front of me.
Yeah, I'm recalling about $138,000 for the remaining portion of Douglas. One thing you could do is, in particular, there's a bicycle, a bike trail along lot 38 that connects open space in the rear of the property eventually to the town forest, but a short section of bike path that the developer is on the hook to install. If you were to require that prior to either occupancy permit or acceptance of the last part of Douglas Road, that would make sure that that gets accomplished. Sorry, Joe, I just remember that I was going to ask you to run through that.
You muted him.
I'm
Not
getting your audio.
Just nod your head yes. Yep, it's yes. All right. So we're good to send those to the selectmen as well, Tom? You could just nod your head yes too. Yep, he's good. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to take the portions of dirt that we've talked about and the portions of K that we've talked about, and send them to the selectmen for their consideration to put them on the warrant for acceptance on the 17th of October. Anyone want to second that?
Mr. Chair, just real quick, I noticed there's quite a few people still on. Is anybody raising their hands, Maureen, for any comments or anything like that?
I don't see any raised hands.
Okay, terrific. Thanks.
Okay. So I'll re-entertain that motion to send this to the selectmen for their consideration to put on the warrant article for the October 17th meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Delisa?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye, but I want to do it subject to Marin's suggestion about the withholding of the.
Yeah, the whole withholding of.
Yeah. Aye.
The bike trail. Okay, we'll put that in there. Anna?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. Anyone else? Anything else, Marin?
That's it for the street acceptances.
Okay, great. Thank you all. Thank you, Tom.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
Okay. Joe, thank you. Anyone else? Are we done, Marin? Can I
Please.
relight my cigar?
Please.
Well, we do have one more.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yes, Anna.
Maureen staff performance objective. So we can talk about it now, or we can move it to the next meeting. It's, up to everybody
5
else.
minutes of 10. Do you want to do it now or you want to do it the next meeting? It's up to you, Anna. It's your day.
Maureen, what do you think?
I'm good either way.
Okay, well, we can postpone it to the next meeting then.
And we're missing Jerry.
What?
Yeah,
We're also missing Jerry.
Yeah, why don't we put it on early? Why don't we do it first thing on the next meeting? You want to do it that way?
Sure.
That way we get it done. We'll put it on.
Right at 6:30, and I can push board business to the end if needed.
Yep. Why don't we do it that way? Is that good, Anna?
Sure. Good with that.
You guys are great. Thank you. It was a long night.
Yep.
Anything else? Are we good, Marin?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
So does someone have to go to the selectmen's meeting for this, or just our recommendations?
I will be there. Wouldn't hurt if somebody else was there.
All right. Anna, are you going or do I have to go?
Well, it's all virtual.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I could do it for no, I'll be up here anyway. Maybe I'll pipe in too. All right.
Be a good idea if you were there, Mark.
Yes, dear. I'll be there. Anything else? We good?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Thank you all.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Marin.
Yep. Thank